Beautiful and welcome. This is another episode of Tac'd with Spencer P, and today is a major episode. I got the one and only Umi Wagoner with us. If you're not familiar, he is the owner of Tacoma. He is a staple in the fashion district around here, and like most of my guests, I think he'll do a better job at introing himself than I will. So I'll pass the mic over to him. Just tell the people where you're from, where you started, and what got you here.
My name is, first of all, thank you for having me on Tac'd In.
Hey, it's my pleasure, honestly.
It's been a joy to watch you progress, honestly, bro. My name is Umi Wagoner. I am, like Spencer said, co-owner of Tacoma and etc. the boutique. ETC Tacoma the boutique and etc. the brand. Born and raised in Tacoma. I'm like through and through here. Whitman Elementary, Gall Magna Middle School, Falls High School. I went away to college in Los Angeles before coming back here to open the shop. Probably when I came back, Coach P called me back. He was ready to fulfill our destiny.
And Coach P would be the other co-owner of ETC?
Yeah, pardon me, the coach. Thank you, Spence. The other half of ETC is Paris Wright. Paris Wright is a pillar in the community as well. He does a lot with, I'm not really going to put him on blast. He's more low-key than that. But he's out here in the streets as much as he's in the shop.
Beautiful. So before we dive right into ETC, I would like to explore your past a little bit. Okay, I know you said you were out in LA. What were you doing out there?
So when I went to school in Los Angeles, I went to FITM. FITM is in downtown LA. My family is my mother and father are both from Southern California. So my dad is from Santa Monica and my mother is from Compton, California. So for me, Southern California is just my backyard. I probably started going down there when I was 11 years old. My first plane ride by myself, and then been back pretty much every summer between LA and the Bay, pretty much until college. So it's always been comfortable, and that's why I decided to go to school there.
Quick question, totally. How old were you when you said you took that first flight by yourself?
I was 11 years old.
Did you cause any trouble on the plane?
Nah, I was escorted privately.
You were a good kid growing up.
I was at the back of the plane. I think any kid is going to be good on their first flight because it's such a I don't know what I'm doing moment. You know what I mean? Like I definitely wasn't asking for like extra nuts or nothing.
Well, let me take over a second because I got a counter story for that.
Oh no!
My dad, we were in middle school, so probably about the same age, probably about 11 or 12. He got a job in Australia. He was helping their Air Force build some planes, and so of course we had to go out there. So. Yeah. They sent me and my brother, unaccompanied minors, halfway across the world.
That's
and
intense.
It started with you take a flight down to LAX, and there you catch a flight with Qantas.
Exactly.
And so we do our layover in LAX, and we got like 2 hours. They just put us in this back room full of computers. And again, I'm 11, so I start hopping on the computer, seeing what I can find, playing solitaire and whatnot. And like 45 minutes in, they come in and they start tripping. They're like, "Get the fuck off!" Like. They put me in the air control, like an X air control room.
Oh,
these are like still live computers or something. I don't know what's going on, but they were tripping the fuck out.
Yeah, because you were sending all kinds of, and they didn't know what you had done. Maybe you didn't do anything, but just seeing you on the computer was like, yo, what did you touch? Like, oh.
And then, so it's like a 13-hour flight from LAX to Australia. And by the end of it, I had these like gummy worms. And I would take it out, get it all wet, and smack my brother on the arm with it, and it would leave this fat welt. And by the
jeez Louise,
and by the end of literally at the end of the plane ride, everyone's offboarding. Like we have to wait because we're unaccompanied minors for the stewardess and stuff. And like we're so ready to get off the plane. I'm like beating my brother up with like a pillow or something. And some lady just has had enough. She reaches over, grabs the pillow. Would you two knock it off and act your age? I'm like, lady, I'm 11 years
in my age, and I'm also unaccompanied. I'm turned up right now.
Yes, it was a mess. Sorry.
Probably not having a sibling with me definitely helped.
Yeah, I would say so too. Okay, cool. So you make it out to Southern California.
Making it out of Southern California. I live in Koreatown. Love Koreatown, man. K-Town's such a beautiful place, especially a decade ago. I mean, now it's kind of like it was already packed over. It was over like too condensed, and now it's like they've just taken it to the new level of talking about like putting people on top of each other. It's really crazy to me. But at the same time, it's kind of like New York, and LA is really making a push to be like a New York right now.
I could be wrong saying this, but am I mistaken in thinking that's kind of like how Korea is structured? They build higher, not further out.
I don't know shit about Korea, so don't get me started. But I do know that, like, you know, traditionally, you know, family, you know, like on the SAD podcast you were discussing, is like, it's Eastern civilization that keeps people together, right? And then Western civilization has very much been like, get it on your own, which is part of like the land of the free mentality, though. You get out there, you make your own thing, you build your own way. Like, you don't do it off the names or the backs of even your family members. Each man is his own man. That's how America runs. Right. It might be why we're in turmoil right now, but that's how we get down, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Koreatown was a really good time for me. Not really a culture shock at all. Again, LA regular to me. I was 17 years old, so it was kind of a shock to other people because, you know, like, I had to have a cosign. My mom, she had to like come down to make sure I could get my apartment and shit.
So you were living out there alone? You were...
100%.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I graduated high school.
Oh, duh. I'm still thinking you're 11.
Sorry. No. I'm 17 years old, graduated FOSS, on my way to FITM to explore my fashion dreams. I was supposed to go to Morehouse in Atlanta, but my best friend's transcript got lost or something happened and he didn't get accepted. And then my second choice was Tennessee. But when I went to Tennessee, I just felt like the school wasn't... I was like, yo, I want to do fashion. And they're like, okay, then we'll get you like in business and then we'll make something happen for a fashion minor. And it was like, that didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, who are you trying to sell a dream? Like, that doesn't make sense. So early on, found out that like institutions are a lie.
Yeah, interesting. Instead of like, if you go for a business degree and they make you take an astronomy class or something that has nothing, but at least you're getting, they did the exact opposite. 100%. They said, hey, take this whole thing and we'll give you one little class.
We'll figure you out. We'll figure something out. And it was like, that doesn't make sense. Rough. So then I was like, I'll just go where I'm hyper focused. I'm only going to school for a resume anyway. I mean, hope any kid out there knows that. I mean, I never was going to school to, I was never going to a university with the same mentality that I went into high school in terms of like excelling.
Under the impression that piece of paper would make you successful.
No, the piece of paper I've always known is a resume builder. Yeah. So I could walk in any door with the piece of paper.
So you had the correct perspective.
100%. 1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can stand by that. Not a lot, but I know a fair number of people who go to college because that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm violently against that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I think you should be, as should your parents be, because, you know.
Because they're paying for it usually.
Both
like,
you guys are going to end up footing that bill.
Yeah, that part.
Because if they pay for it up front, it's non-forgivable debt. So either you pay it off or your kids are going to pay it off. And that's just going to continue to cycle till somebody pays it off.
Yeah. It'll just always be there. Yeah. Pardon me. So that was an interesting thing to just like see how people maneuver with me, because I didn't see it as being weird, but also I've never really taken age, you know, like age doesn't mean much to me. My mother very early on just let me know like older doesn't mean wiser. Yeah,
I wish that was a lesson. I probably got taught that.
Oh, I'm sure she said it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure they said it. I don't know.
It's so funny.
I'm sure they probably said it to your little brother. Like, yeah, older doesn't mean wiser, my boy.
No
Look
shit,
out for
watch
him.
your brother. Yeah, no shit.
That's why I heard it from your brother getting it.
That makes sense.
Literally. You see that? That was gold.
On my own show.
Be your own people. And then, so then from, I worked out there understanding that FITM was about getting me into retail.
Okay.
So then FITM is like connected with a lot of retailers. Nordstrom's is a main thing. That's like their feeder school. So everyone was expecting me to come back here and be like, I'm a Nordstrom's buyer. I never shopped at Nordstrom's. I hate Nordstrom's. And they didn't give us a collab, and they don't even know who we are, which shows you that they're not in the streets.
They're not tapped
in. No way. And then... after that,
that's a cool picture.
Such a good
shout
photo.
out Hermes.
Yeah.
Shout out Hermes.
Shout out Dry Sodas for being a sponsor for the 7 year.
Beautiful. Shout out Dry Soda.
Yeah. And then so what happened after getting the retail jobs, right? It was just like I just need to find the right one. So I did Up Against the Wall, which was like Mr. Rags. You guys remember Mr. Rags in the Tacoma Mall at all? It was like it carried independent urban brands as well as like some of the more poppin' stuff. So Mr. Rags was like, I think they were the first in the mall even before Macy's to carry like the Sean Johns, the Rockawares, Johnny Blaze, Woo Wear, Willie Esco, a lot of East Coast heat. So I haven't done my research, but maybe Mr. Rags was from the East Coast, low key.
Okay.
And then like they just had a shop in the mall. It's where Hollister is right now. So working at that spot, I met people, the right people. I met like my earliest Fairfax homies before, you know, it was the block or any of that weak shit. It was just like, yo, we're like the dudes, and like we're just the coolest dudes. We're the first adopters. We be on shit first, and then it's like we like bridge this skate culture gap. You feel me? I'm not into skateboarding, but I have aggressive inline since I was a youth.
Really?
So yeah. Solomon's on me. So I've always been into that, right? I didn't fuck with skateboarding. Pardon me. I do now. I didn't fuck with skateboarding at all.
You didn't fuck with like the actual act of skating or the stuff that
yeah,
came along with skating?
I grew up in parks where like, you know, I was getting harassed for being a black kid on boots, but that's what black kids did back in the day. If you go back historically and look, yeah.
Hey, I'll let you know, anyone in skates could get it.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't just the black kid.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah. No, for sure. I mean, if you're just talking about like us being kids, like right, like nah, just skating was whack. So you just get your ass beat. You know, you're gonna get made fun of for that. You know. But I grew up in a neighborhood, very good, thankful, off of 38th Street, that was full of kids. Black, white, Asian, and that's all we did was do everything together. So
awesome. It
was like a real crazy mesh. So for me, you know, when I got to the parks and it became like, oh, watch out, Fruit Booter, it was like, yo, we will beat your ass. Or like, oh, it's all good. Like, yo, we just don't rock with this, you know, like we won't be here. We'll just street skate. Parks are kind of for
the posers anyway.
Shoobies anyway, you feel me? So we were just like, yo, we'll just hit Whitman Elementary and just kill rails and hit the bike rack or whatever it is. Anyway, so that's my background in that. That's why I felt comfortable being around the skate kids and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't even all of that early on, you know. But a skater did bring me to Fairfax. His name is Randy. He modeled the Charlie stuff for us. And he worked at Stussy at the time. He was one of the first Supreme interns and one of the first LA Supreme interns, pardon me. And so that's how I kind of got blessed in. But those kids knew me from up against the wall because it was the only cool store in the mall.
Gotcha.
So they walked in there, they're like, yo, what the fuck are you doing here? And they told me for the first 2 years I worked there, like, yo, you're way too cool to be working here. Like, that's all I ever heard.
Really?
And then I heard it from someone that mattered. I went away to Saks Fifth Avenue for a little bit because I was like, yo, I just got to level up, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anyone that knows me personally knows that streetwear is my love, but my passion is high fashion. It always has been. My mom is a designer, was a designer, is a designer. And so that's just where my heart is. So I went to Saks Fifth Avenue to try to infiltrate. And I just didn't like it. Of course, I knew I wouldn't. It was in Rodeo, Beverly Hills, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I dressed the part. And obviously they're like, ooh, yeah, you're a little cute black kid or whatever. But I didn't get to the position that I wanted to, and I wasn't willing to wait.
Right.
So then I left, backed up against the wall because I was already a manager there after like 6 months or whatever. And came to this store. They were at the Apple store. They were buying a ton of Macs for their office and their new...
Who's they?
The Hundreds.
Okay.
So this is the Hundreds. This is Ben and Bobby. And they walk into the shop. I'm in my Huffquake t-shirt. They're like, oh, you like Huff? I'm like, yeah, this shit kind of hard. Plus he's from the Bay, and I fuck with that. And I was like, they had Ben had on Jag jeans. So the first Hundreds is really famously known for Cali Roots, which is an international website. They sold to that website. It was like way before Karmaloop, or maybe it was right before Karmaloop, who cares? But it was what Karmaloop was trying to be. And the Hundreds had the best raw denim in streetwear at the time, hands down. And they had the Jag print on the back, and that was just the thing. It was just a thing at that time, right? So anyway, I seen him, saw him in the Jag jeans, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's the Hundreds shit. I'm like, yo, those guys are hella fly. They're from the Bay too. And then Ben just starts dying. Taps Bobby, and he goes, Bobby. He's like, yo, this kid said, what'd you say? And I'm like, oh, now I'm on the spot. And I'm like, I said, I fuck with the Hundreds. I'm like, I like them, those dudes because they're from the Bay. And he's like, Bobby goes, we're not from the Bay. Like, and so then in that moment, Like, that's when we initially met. I'm tripping. This is before Saks Fifth Avenue, because I leave. And Ben is apparently pulling up to the Beverly Center just trying to see if he can find me because they're getting ready to open the store. And all his employees are good kids that they've known for a while, warehouse dudes that have really helped them build the brand to where it is right now, to their flagship, but didn't have any retail experience. So he was like, yo, I need someone with retail experience. And like, this kid's like in school for retail and he's like working at the coolest store in the mall, right? So I leave and then I come back and it's fucked up because my homie James Kohler puts me back on. He's like, yo, you can kind of bounce back and forth, bro. I was like, it's good. Between Saks and Up Against the Wall.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't tripping. He's like, whatever works for you, bro. Like, just want to make it make sense for you. And so I'm back there and I'm a weekend, a literal week. And Ben pops in the store and he's like, dude, I've been looking for you. He's like, man, you still want a job? And I looked over at James. Next day, he was like, bro, I'd take the opportunity too.
Yeah.
And then gone.
Wow. Okay. Let me stop real quick. Because I just heard at least 2 instances where you were just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Would you?
Oh, for sure.
Because to lead up to the second instance, you have to be in the right place at the right time to even get your foot in with the right cool kids who put you in the right group to just set yourself that one step above.
Yeah.
That really made you special, right? Would you agree with that?
No, 100%. If it wasn't for Randy, I try to give Randy mad props. Randy don't care about nothing, none of that. Like, he was just like a real skate kid who just got brought into it because he's like a very attractive young man. He has super long hair. He's Peruvian. He's got colored eyes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
like he was the boy. You've seen him in so many Stussy ads you don't even know. But he was just the homie, and he was just like, yo, you're too cool for this shit, bro. Come kick it. And that's honestly, you know what I mean? Like, that's really
incredible. Because I wonder, I'm sure you're gonna at least describe it in enough detail, but I definitely did not want to skip over because I know you said Rosewood ain't what it used to be, but I definitely want the people to know what Rosewood used to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so then my history at the Hundreds is getting brought in, and then this is a sad little story because this is why I popped back to Washington for a year. I graduated, FITM, it's a 2-year program. Ben came and got me from Up Against the Wall. We're sitting out in front of the Hundreds. He's describing to me what he liked me to do, how he liked me to be a part of the store. And then goes, how old are you?
Oh, no.
Cooked my shit. I was like, I'm like, at the time, I think I was like 19 or something. Yeah, 2 years. So I was 19 and he was like, what? And he was like, oh, you're too young. First of all, I was like, why the fuck didn't you figure that out prior to, man?
Well, if you saw so much in me that you went and searched,
he should have gave me that spot anyway. He certainly should have gave me that spot anyway. But God don't make no mistakes. And it probably wasn't for me because the guy,
like it worked out just fine.
100%. And the guy that I ended up being underneath, his name is Iron Mike, Michael Enriquez, my big brother. He had worked from the warehouse all the way up to being the store manager, and he definitely had the prowess to be a store manager for a young Filipino dude from Santa Rita, California, with a crazy skate background and kind of like a mind for finance. So probably the best decision for sure, right? And so I learned under him a little bit about how Rosewood was to be managed, and it was a great time. And I made a lot of friends, and then I was engaged at 17 years old as well. And the woman that I was with at the time was over Los Angeles. She just didn't like it, which was crazy to me, man. She was like I worked at Flight Club for a couple of years, was on her way to being a manager there. She was into shoes, so it also didn't make sense why. Did
you ever get a real explanation, or?
Yeah, it got super personal just about like what she wanted for us. But we were 19 and 20, so it was just like,
we got to build up to what us is.
Well, it was like, we're gonna get all that, but we're 19 and 20, so let's just keep going. Like,
we got to get it first.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what? Like, if it's forever thing, then like we got
the house's cabin is all the house or the cabin in the woods is always gonna be there, but you got to have the money to build the cabin before you can get it.
You know what I mean? Like, and so anyway, that was like a thing that was like, well, whatever. But I wasn't the manager. So I was like, yo, that was what I had been promised. That's what I've been told. That's the whole reason why I had kind of moved on from my other space. Yep, this is the realm I want to be in, but I also didn't want to be just a cog in the machine.
Right.
You feel me? Like not a retail associate. So I left. Moved back here to Northeast Tacoma and worked in Ballard.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I did a year commuting from Northeast Tacoma to Ballard.
What part of Northeast were you in?
Not tight. I lived in the Fairviews.
Oh, on the green?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Had like a one bedroom plus loft. My shit was.
We might have crossed paths back in the day.
I was loving my
then.
shit for sure. Oh, I believe so.
That was old
yeah.
stomping grounds.
Yeah. Out there being foolish. And then Blackbird Ballard. Everyone should look that up. It's kind of hard to find on the internet, but Blackbird Ballard was. I can't even describe to you what it is. It was.
Is it Black Bear?
Blackbird Ballard was owned and operated by Nicole Miller, and I mean, I can't even describe this place, man. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And what it was okay. So for our viewers, listeners,
Ballard store.
Barney's Co-op could not compete with this place.
Really?
Yeah.
So they were high fashion as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She was the greatest thing. I met the editor of GQ. I met so many designers just from walking into the store.
And this is just a small boutique, I'm imagining.
Yep, in Ballard, like on the side street. Lady opened up. Then she opened another thing called the Field House right across from it. And she kind of wanted me to stay and help her run those businesses. And now it seemed like right up my alley, but she just, I love you, Nicole, but she just wasn't the businesswoman that I was willing to follow at that time. Mm-hmm. I believed her vision, but I didn't believe in her.
Right.
And that's not sad to say, you know, I mean, it just is what it is. Again, she has amazing taste and a gift for people and style, but yeah, it was an interesting time. So anyway, I did that for a year, and literally at the year mark of being back home, my store manager, Enrique's, called me and said, I'm moving to the office. Oh, that's me. Isn't that me with my hands behind my back?
That sure looks like it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Good work, Casey.
He called me literally to the day and said, Ben said, you ready to come? You ready to come home? Like, you want to make these, you ready to run the store?
You were old enough finally.
And I left like a week later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I was down there for the next 7 years running the shop, running Rosewood. I don't even know how to describe my era, man.
What years were you there?
So in my full tenure, in my full tenure, I think I worked for the Hundreds for just under 10 years. So like 8 years, I think 7 or 8 years. So it's from 2008 until 2009 or 10 that I'm at Rosewood, and then I run Rosewood. No, so it must have been 09. So it was just the 1 year that I'm back. So 08 to 09 I'm at Ballard, then 09 till 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fucking cool. Dude, I swear to God, you got to write a book or something.
Bro, I've lived 16 lives.
Well,
I tell my wife that all the time.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you because I like to consider myself at least slightly educated. I definitely know I'm not the smartest person in the room,
You're quite
especially with what's going on.
You're in the know, normally, Spence.
I have to be honest with you. I don't think I recognize 10% of the names you just threw out. I'm learning as we're sitting here. This is incredible. So let me ask this before I lose my thought. Yeah. So when you head out for school, your vision of what you were going to use that school to accomplish, does that kind of line up with what you're doing right now, or did you have a totally different vision when you walked in there of what you wanted to do?
At school?
Yeah.
No, at school I was only going to be a store. I was only going to open a store. So I was supposed to open a store in LA. I built out a couple of store plans. I had a couple of investors. So you weren't in there
playing with,
fell through.
With pattern palettes or anything like that. You were just specifically focused on this one aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, to keep it a buck, like, I'm a designer. So I come from And I don't mean that in any like cocky way. I'm a designer, meaning like I come from conceptualizing things and just like actually designing them. Now, does that mean that I illustrate or construct them? No. Have I illustrated and constructed garments? Yes. Is it my passion? No.
But
I want to design the garment.
But you can see it in your head before it comes to life.
1,000%.
Okay, because that was like, I remember I heard my buddy's dad talking about construction kind of in the same way. He can see just a plot of dirt and imagine the whole
and tell you
house
what's going to be
and
there.
everything.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Bro, that's like my dad. It's a
it's a gift.
mastery skill. It is a gift too, you know.
Right.
It's acquired skill as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
On top of that talent,
No, you're really
that
right.
gift, it's just amazing to see.
It's a fact.
Because that was going to be my next question was, I know you mentioned your mom is a designer, but high fashion, like when did your interest in high fashion start?
Born.
As long as you can remember.
Yeah, my earliest photos of me, I'm in Dior suits. That's based off my mama though. That ain't on me.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna ask was, how does a 4-year-old develop like an inclination towards Gucci or Dior or anything like that? Like,
Well,
I didn't even know
she
what that
wasn't
was
really
until
she wasn't into fashion houses by the time I was born. She was a grown woman.
she had already grown out of
she was
it.
a grown woman. She didn't care about that.
Your mom sounds like an incredible person.
Yeah, she's got. I mean, my wife just recently found a Louis Vuitton bag from like the early '80s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she's gonna be stunting on y'all. But anyway, like a real clutch from Louis, like nuts. But anyway, I mean, yeah, it's just always been that way. My mom really, she's been a dresser, and as she got older, it was about dressing for less. But I was already caught up in designer. She had just mentioned things. Oh, you know the biggest. Thank you, Schmitz. I'm into fashion because when my mom was obsessed as a kid, all I can remember from like maybe like 5 to like 10 years old, they don't have this channel anymore. It was the fashion channel. And I want to kill someone for taking this away. And it just showed runway shows.
All the time.
You could watch it on TV all day long, or all night long, basically. And I've seen a lot of runway shows, man.
So was your mom's obsession so large that it poured over into your cup?
The thing about it for her was,
or you were just on the same tip?
I think I was just on the same tip.
Yeah.
I just absorbed what was happening around me.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I think I was just on the same tip. I don't think that, I mean, where I am right now is I'm ashamed of myself, man. My mom was a pretty masterful pattern maker, which is like one of the hardest things to do. And we both were terrible at math, but she got that math. She understood those numbers. And she can't teach it to me anymore. It's very unfortunate.
Oh, just due to age or something? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't beat yourself up too much. Everyone's got their own path.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's my next question. Like, let me roll into this, because I didn't get into clothes until I realized everybody else thought it was cool, and it was it was a way for me to get the leg up. So I'm like, oh, okay, like everybody's wearing clothes, like there's specific clothes you can wear that are worth points to other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, cool. That's where I got in. Like, I have to imagine with your mom, you were just brought up knowing that, right? Or
here and
or at
there,
least,
or just like always looking for. So like, I mean, you can kind of like look this up on the internet and stuff, and it's why I have Umi's Corner and shit. It's like, I'm a first adopter, man. I don't really care about what. I can see what's gonna be cool, and it's not a gift. I've just been doing it for a long time, like a long time, and that's the only reason why. Most things that you do, I tell everybody, I tell every kid that comes into anything that we do, you just have to start young. You just have to know your passion is. People that go to the NBA, that become the greatest, you know how young they started?
6,
That's it,
5,
bro.
4. Yes.
5, 4. You know when when Pitt started getting Isaiah and like really getting it in, that boy was like a 6th grader. Like, you start young.
Yes.
Point blank period.
Well, and so to speak on that, like I've never had one thing in my life that I nailed down as my one thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. I am interested in a wide variety of things, to the point where I know just enough to start a conversation and probably learn something more and maybe even bounce something off what you say to me.
Yep.
But I'm by no means an expert in any one, section. So when I find people who are an expert, and it doesn't matter what the fuck it is,
Yeah,
but anything
literally.
that can hold your
Coin
interest
collecting
for
is
over
tight
a
to me.
decade,
Yeah.
like anything like that, I am so astounded by. And like I tell myself that, like, I always thought, like, because I didn't earn my first dollar until I was out of high school. And so, like, I don't consider getting on my hustling journey until I was like 19 or 20 or so. And so, like, one of my not biggest regrets, but I always say, like, man, I wonder where I would be if I started when I was 13.
Yeah.
But even then, I was twice as squirrely at 13 than I was right now. So who knows what the fuck? Like, I definitely wasn't gonna nail nothing down at 13. So it's definitely one of those, like, when it comes down to the nature or nurture thing, like.
Yeah,
some things are just out of your hand.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, a lot of things are out of your hands. Like, you could say start young, but it's just like you said. It's like, what if that's not really your passion?
Right.
And then, like, you're pigeonholed into doing something because you've been doing it forever. That's not tight either. I just know that if you have a passion about something, especially when you're young, you should hold on for dear life, literally.
I think I was talking with Morgan last week on the podcast. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to him about baseball. And, like, when I think about it, baseball was the one passion I could nail down, but it was literally the only thing in my life no one ever told me I could make a profession out of. Like, never once did someone say, like, hey, I know you have no idea what the fuck you want to do with your life, but I see you, like, excelling at this and having fun. Like, no one ever sat me down, so I never thought it was an option. And by the time I realized it was, I was already into weed and women. So
right, exactly. So
out
money
the door.
is gone. Yeah, all time.
I lost the edge.
Once you get that, yeah. So
Listen,
once
when
you
you
get
already
into
had
that, it's
2 more years on me, and
it's quick time on that. I can't front. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. You're right. It does take.
Again, I think it worked out okay.
Yeah,
but.
I mean, you're doing phenomenally, but I think that it just, definitely everyone's situation is different. You're right. It is some nature versus nurture type stuff that goes into it for sure. Because, I know I've had homies that were all the way in, but again, it does take someone telling you can make a career out of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think very early on in my life, my dad being a construction worker, he was always like, you don't want to be working as hard as me, boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was always his kind of sentiment. But I was like, bro, you bring home like $1,200 a week. I think I might be okay with that. You feel me? Yeah. and in the summer you're bringing home, I never seen that number before on a check. So it's like, this is going crazy, But at the same time, I did know that what he was telling me was that, like,
you could do better. And
you want to do something where it's not on where the timeline fits your life, because the timeline with construction is like, you get paid well, but it doesn't fit your life, and you got to kind of like make it make sense and all that kind of stuff. Your busiest time is during the summer. If you got kids, that's when you should be kind of trying to get out in the field with them. You know what I mean? So there are things that I think he saw about just his work environment that he was like, you don't really belong here. Plus, I was also very studious, so he was like, there's no reason.
That's what I was going to ask.
For you
and
to be
you picked that up
not
when he
having
said
a
it
desk
to
job.
you. Yeah, okay. Because I think back and I'm like, I'm sure my parents had the same conversation, and it just never clicked for me. I don't know. I swear, I'm like, man, I wish my parents would have taught me more shit. And every time I say it, I'm like,
they definitely said that.
You should have just listened a little better, bro. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, no, and so that's how the dynamic in houses goes. Like, my older brother, polar opposite. Literally the polar opposite.
In what way?
As much as I have like the taboo to me version of success, he has like the taboo version of being unsuccessful, just like having bad luck in life or whatever. But it has to do with, like, dude didn't listen to a lot of shit, and he also kept it a buck and being like, I know what's right and what's wrong, but I like to see what's so wrong with wrong.
Interesting. I might share his perspective on that.
Oh, you are the most inquisitive motherfucker I probably have ever met in my adulthood. So yeah, I can definitely see you being like, what's so wrong with wrong, though?
Well, okay. So let me ask you this then. I guess you're looking at his his situation specifically, but as a whole, like, do you see that as a negative, or do you see it as a positive, or does it matter how you harness it?
It matters how you harness it. There have been some people that have made wrong very right, and then there are some people that just can't figure out how to make that turn. And and I would say that he's someone that's still figuring out how to make that turn.
I think that's a fair statement to make for all of us.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
One of my favorite sayings is a bar from Currency. He said, "This is my first time living life. I'm figuring it out with you."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I got honestly the same deal with my brother. He's, smart as fuck to the point where it's almost detrimental to him. He thinks he's too smart. And I'm like, like you said, I know you know what you want, but to get there, you got to start here and build your way up there. You can't You can't just bounce out of LA. You got to build.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you can't just jump the gun. Yeah, you got to figure it. I mean, there's steps to everything. Everything's a process, man, and everything is a journey, and the journey should be the funnest part of it, honestly.
I agree with that totally. Well, I just had a perfect segue. So leaving LA, now you're back here, or did we get there? No. What?
I feel like
how did things go at Rosewood? Did they end on amicable terms?
My bad. My version of Rosewood.
No, you're good. I cut you off.
It definitely ended on great terms. I mean, a lot of people in the year as I was exiting were like, "Damn, you got a brand? Like what?" And like I had, I think I was so involved in Rosewood in a way that, and also like I loathe social media. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell that the way that I run my business, but
I've seen your personal page.
But it's part of it, you know what I mean? But I love social media, and so the only reason I got social media was because of the business. But prior to that, I spent all my time in the studio, man. I had my own studio in Van Nuys, big ass studio.
Making music?
Man, I got a lot of music.
But I making music. I know that about you.
Yeah, making music every single day, man. Every single day. So I would leave. Rosewood for me was a gig. I loved it to death, and I enjoyed the culture. I get there around 8. This is how my days went. You wanna know my day at Rosewood?
Please.
I lived with my brother, one of my best friends, Nelson. We would wake up at around 8 a.m. We trade off who would make breakfast. We watch Frasier. We smoke 3 blunts. Then we roll up and leave. Then I'd smoke a blunt on Rosewood in the morning with my gang or whoever was first to get there. And then we open the day and we let it roll.
This reminds me a lot of my middle school. That was my middle school.
And then we'd open the gate
routine.
And we let it roll. And the whole point is something that I've been trying to bring to etc Tacoma, obviously, is people are magnets for people. You know what I mean? And so that was my biggest thing, is like I kept people around me. Mm-hmm. A lot of people around me. A lot of kids around me. A lot of creatives around me. A lot of homies. If you ain't had nothing to do today, come smoke with me. That was my thing. It's exactly what you see, except for I was far more involved. Like right now I'm kind of like,
right.
What's up? But back then, yeah, it was Sunday fun day every day.
Right. Do you consider that a skill? Being able to...
Hell yeah, because motherfuckers can't do it.
I know.
I've been trying to hire someone to do it for 7 years. So yeah, I definitely consider it a skill. And a God-given talent, honestly, because some people just don't like to talk. Even when I don't want to talk, I'm talking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that was really what it was. And then I was able to bring... It was moving away from skate culture, and the Hundreds also is an skate brand. Right? So that was another reason. It was like they just needed cool people there who like were into cool shit, right? Like I listened to every version of music.
Right.
They put me on a ton of music. God bless you, Ben. You giving me the Smiths. You told me I would never stop playing them, and I never have. And they just put me on to they opened my mind again, right? I was already open-minded, and they just like turned this other key, and it was like, oh, there's so much. And then I just started getting lost. So like on Rosewood every day, we would get in there, we would smoke, and then you search for new records. You probably try to download like 2 or 3 new albums a day, and then you try to pirate like 2 or 3 movies. So like shit that's like playing at Cons Festival or something like that, and that's all you do all day. You're on there like trying to just jump through links for torrents and shit like that to make sure like, and then you sit there and you watch all the movies, you know what I mean? And you listen to all the music early, and then you go out front and you smoke and talk about it.
Yeah, sounds like the life.
It's the greatest thing ever, bro. I wish Tacoma would understand what we're trying to do with that and how beneficial it could be to youth of all colors, you know what I'm saying? But specifically for people like me.
Maybe you can shed some light on this, because it sounds like you've put a lot more thought into it than necessarily I have to just speak into a mic. But one of the biggest detriments through the whole last year and a half is the fact that I have not gotten to see people. Like I was the kind of person who always had something to do after work, and I very, very quickly found myself heading straight home from work. And I'm like, it's honestly, it bugs my brain out. I don't like it. I don't mind isolation when I need it, but other than that, pretty default, I need people around me. I want my homies. I want to see people. I love people. I love saying what's up, what's new, what you got going on. Let me tell you about what I got going on if you don't got anything. Yeah. Like, I love that shit. That's what, makes my day. If it was just me on Earth, like, that's a long day.
That's, again, it's, I think that what you being able to do that is, people can't do that, man. People get anxiety doing that.
Well, and to take it one step further, to specifically find a location to dedicate to that purpose, right. Like, I don't think there's enough spots out there like that.
Which is what's annoying about ETC, It started to happen even in the latter half of Rosewood, would be people who weren't all the way in going, why do you kick it there all day? So you just sit there all day while they're at work? So you're not at work, but they're working? It's like, bro, if you know how many people have caught contracts, modeling gigs, all kinds of random shit.
Met the editor of GQ.
Just anything, exactly. From showing up, man.
Yeah, just from being in the right place at the right time.
I'd be like, man, I'll be showing up, man. Kids don't show up for nothing. Tacoma definitely don't show up for nothing.
That might be the takeaway of the episode. Being in the right place at the right time.
Show up. How about you pop out there?
You heard it from the man.
I mean, you ain't gonna listen to me. You've been saying that for a long time.
Sometimes you just gotta talk into a camera, though.
I'm not mad at it.
Well, let's explore it.
Yeah.
Specifically, you guys don't feel like you're getting enough attendance at events you're putting up, or what is it?
Heavens no, I never felt that way. The only thing people come to is open mic night because it's so connected to someone that they care about. Right. Which we understand.
Yeah.
Like, we get that. I'm cool with that, man. I can't even elaborate on anymore, man. I'm spin on those words. I don't got those words anymore.
Okay. Sweet. We'll move on. But if you didn't hear him, shut the fuck up. These people are working hard, bro. And if we lose some shit like this in Tacoma because motherfuckers wasn't playing their part, then it's on you. And I don't think I'm ready to accept that.
I mean, that's what's happening.
Hold the fuck up.
I appreciate you pressing them. I appreciate you pressing them. That's what's happening. That's all. So the hill that I'm ready to die on now is the music scene.
And before I let you take that, let me just explain why I'm having him run down the Rosewood and all these iconic people he's talking about. This is not just your average shop owner. Umi is a man of the city. He has left the city. He has pulled the credentials, the information, the contacts, everything needed to do what they're doing on Rosewood. Anyone who's in streetwear, you know what Rosewood is, you know what built this, and the only way for something like that to come back is for it to move to a new place and start up again. So Umi has gone out and done the legwork. Not only that, he's put up the finances to put together a shop, to put together an entire business along with his partners, and they work day in and day out every single fucking day for it. So if we lose it because of some dumb shit like people not showing up in their own city, it's fucking 15 minutes away from your crib. Pull up. Sorry.
It's really crazy. It's really crazy. I mean, because it's why it's why, and we, man, I mean, why isn't there another store open?
Who can do what you do, bro?
Anyone. Everyone. Why isn't there another store open?
I think anyone can attempt to do what you're doing.
Everyone's got their own friend groups. All I did was bring my friend group.
Right.
And then not be a dickhead and let more friends in.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a complex equation.
It's as simple as it gets, bro. People helping people, man. It's a two-step process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not...
The reason why I'm doing this with you right now is because I know that you know where I'm at, and it's like, there's nothing else that we can even say.
I know. I don't have the answer.
There's nothing else. We just told the answer.
Yeah.
We just told the people what the answer is. And that's the same thing that goes on in our music scene. And it's the same energy, man. It's just like, I hate to do that to people, but it's the audience, man. I'll watch all the podcasts. The only people supporting the artists are the artists.
Yep.
The only people supporting the brands are the other brand owners. For the most part, for the large part of it, we are a one-off in that. And people would be like, "Oh, you guys would be killing you because you're the only one." Do you know how much more we would kill if there was competition?
Right.
That's powerful, bro.
Because without competition, how do you prove you're the best?
And how does someone really say, "I'm riding for this"?
Right.
I'm riding for this. Oh, y'all see them over there? But ETC been here since the dirt. I'm riding for this. And now you got these young writers who are like, but change gonna come. These dudes been affecting change. Like, that's the energy. That's how you build a scene.
So I don't want to incriminate anyone, but me and a fellow guest had a pretty similar conversation, actually, about maybe if you made me put up a list of competitors, you know who I'm talking about, and it's the only other one in the city, and we had a pretty fucking clear conversation about what's going on in the city. Because it was number 2 recreating number 1s in a couple different ways, and it was rough. I mean,
yeah.
But when that's your only other competition,
no. I mean, yeah, I know. I do understand that.
So I actually don't know his name. He goes by Ari on Instagram. Dude who ran up the Menthol 10.
Oh yeah, Ari, the artist. Yeah.
So I don't know if you've heard the story, but I had a pair of those.
Ooh.
I had no idea what they were worth, and I sold them for $250.
Oh shit! Slit your throat.
When they were worth 10 to 12K. Yes, yeah. I know. So I've told this story to him twice before because it's come up somewhere, and he's commented on it like, "Whoa." But I follow him because I don't know if you follow him.
Yeah, no, he's a super nice guy. He responds to all of us.
Bro, he
responds to all of us. He's talked to you. He's talked to me. He's talked to Swank.
Don't say that. I'm special.
He's special, man.
He is.
He is special, man.
These crazy perspectives on advertising, and every time, like, I'm not a huge big caption reader. Yeah. Usually, I like press more, and I'll see how big it is. And
exactly.
I'm like,
whoa.
If I got to give you like 3 scoops to get through your caption,
that's tough.
Probably out. But I always read his, and so I got to talking to him, and like he was just like kind of asking me what I was doing with the podcast, what my plan was, and whatnot. Yeah, he is.
He's so hard for that.
He was legitimately listening, giving me some input, and he was giving me some examples of what he did, and he was essentially telling me, he's like, look, no one can do it in their own city. You have to leave. And I'm like, but I think I can. I think there's a big enough base here. People love it. Like, I'm looking at it from my perspective, but I know not everyone has my perspective. And like, dude, Ari, thank you so much for hitting me. Don't think that was going in one ear and out the other. Because I'm like, I rebutted him, and I'm like, 100%. Oh, I think I can. And he's like, well, I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying you have a much higher success rate to do that. And you were asking my opinion. I'm like, I hit him back the next day. I'm like, you're right.
Exactly.
I named this. I'm like, we are the Tac'd podcast. We can't go nowhere, but motherfucker, you are right. I don't, we might just have to go on tour for a little bit or something. I don't know what the deal is, but there's
touring
some power.
podcasts happen, and it's definitely tight when you're landing in a city and some other cool people. Like, that definitely works too. So I'm not beefing with that idea.
Yeah. We still gotta maneuver and figure it out. Well, motherfucker, this was supposed to be like a 7-year anniversary Cheer Up podcast. We finna come in here and promote. So,
the thing about the 7th year is like, for me, man, is because I had some items that I was gonna bring, but at the same time, I'm like, Spencer, if you want to see the items, you got the know, and that's what this is about, is knowing like, yo, Spencer's in the know. And he can show you all the things. And he can get you in a lot of rooms probably with the camera. But it's going to take you tuning in for him to even want to do that. You know what I mean? You got to get to subscribing. You got to get to getting your notifications up. You got to get to commenting for him to know that, like, he barely wanted to do my episode based off of being like, oh, let's get some time going and stuff like that. And that just goes to show, like, people are asking every day, oh, what's the new podcast? And people will be like, oh, there's one in your backyard. And they're like, oh, no, but like, what's a popular podcast? It just sucks,
with someone who's already made it that I'm, might know.
I'm just not into that, and as I get older, I get more I'm just trying to just keep myself from being senile.
Well, being jaded, well, I don't think you're going senile, but you seem sharp to me. But I can understand being jaded.
I just don't be caring, man. And that's the sad thing. But I do care about what happens next. You know, like, that's why my whole thing is about promoting the youth. You know, like, there's 2 or 3 brands right now that have the potential to really turn Tacoma up. Like,
well, let's do what we do best, and let's keep gassing them up. Because
sure.
I'll tell you what, I might not know the answer of what I mean. We know the answer of what everyone else can do to, move this thing along.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of just telling you like we did, we'll just continue to show you like we've been doing.
Boom,
I guess
boom,
just
boom.
keep setting a good example. That's
100%.
Even I
love that you said that.
I heard a saying once, and it was like, even if doing the right thing doesn't turn out the right way, still that doesn't mean it wasn't the right thing in the end.
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
just keep. I guess we gotta lead by example, bro.
100%,
We gotta gas up the people who deserve it. Put the limelight on them. Keep these people in business, because it's not just waking up one day and deciding you want to do this. There's years behind it. There's finances behind it. There's a ton of things that go into this. So anyone who does embark on that endeavor should be celebrated, should be spotlighted, and should be supported, especially in your own fucking city.
Which is like, it just should be a no-brainer. But I also get the local mentality, and I get what Tacoma's going through. There was a time where things that came out of Tacoma were very subpar. Shops, music, everything. But what Tacoma didn't understand is we didn't have the tools or the know-how. So it's very much was Tacoma being blue collar and doing something very DIY and, learning year by year, to get to where things look more polished now. And, someone says they're throwing a party, you can actually trust that, it's going to have some production value to it. The DJ is going to have nice speakers, all that kind of stuff. But there was in my youth in Tacoma, me and Paris definitely grew up with being like, yo, shouldn't Tacoma be bogus? And so that was like a big thing for us about, and that's why I know that you can stay here and do your thing, you feel me? Because P did.
I don't feel it's bogus no more.
And it's nowhere near bogus now. But it was so bogus when we were young, man. I'm telling you, man. We was out in the field, and it was like, yo, why are we fighting here? Why does it look like, is it kind of janky in here? It was just wonky. But Tacoma is definitely growing out of that for sure.
You might be able to relate to this. You know what? You know where I do get that feeling about, though, back in the day? Northeast Tacoma.
I never went to Northeast Tacoma back in the day, unfortunately. And that's what sucks. It's like people didn't even tell us there was a Northeast Tacoma.
So there's this...
Never knew until I really started hanging out with Spencer.
Oh, that there was a Northeast Tacoma?
Holy
shit, what the point?
Bro, we found all the rich people, bro. They're up there.
That was crazy.
So... so my mom and my dad separated. My mom stayed here in North, and my dad moved to Northeast.
Oh, okay.
So we do.
You had the cool bounce back.
Yeah. It was easy, but through that you develop 2 sets of friends, and like I always thought it was so weird that my Northeast friends were like 2 years behind on everything. It didn't matter what it was. Like my boys in the North, like the best example. Actually, it is actually a weird example. My first dab ever was in like 2009 or 10, and it was in Northeast, but it was literally like a crack pipe, bro. It was literally like just a long glass tube with a spoon at the end, and like I'm driving off with a homie in the car, and he like pulls out this glass spoon and a torch,
like,
and I'm like,
yo,
out, get the fuck out, I'm going home. And he's like, no. He's like, bro, this is, and then he pulls out some fucking poop soup. He's like, this is weed, and it's like, dude, it's just, this is like,
it was back in the day though.
This is first gen oil,
bro,
right?
I remember it.
So I'd take a hot spoon dab. Okay, anyways, that was my very first dab. Never seen it since or after that. Like, that was my first time seeing it. Had seen it since, and then it came back around in Tacoma, right? Like right around senior year, so like 2012, 2011, and it got hot, and like we were. And that's not even a pun. Like, we were taking hot fucking dabs.
Yeah,
like, we had no idea. Again, this is like,
none of us
this
did.
is still first gen, maybe like
sure.
second gen. We had some water in the bong and stuff, but like, we're taking red hot dabs on glass nails with, we had no idea but we were first to do it.
Yeah.
2 years later, it makes its way to Northeast, and that's where I learned about low temp dabs and all the tech and all the stuff. So like, they were 2 years behind, but they leveled it up.
I'm about to say what I learned with like these.
We were first on the scene, but they had the better gear, and they seen us fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how it is. But I mean, the thing about a first adopter usually is like you're just the first.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily the most popular. You're not necessarily like known for it or anything. You're just like the first that did
right.
it. They're first to know about it. You feel me? Like Hootie is a first adopter on a
yes.
lot of things, bro. So if you know what I mean, if it equated to fame, he'd be flipping famous.
There's a couple things that made its way to Northeast via me through Hootie. Like more than a few.
Come on, like the dude is unreal. I mean,
because that was my thing.
Even how he originally walked through the door at ETC was like, oh, this kid gets it.
As long as I've known him, he scared himself like that. Like I remember we're like 9th grade and he's probably like a junior or something. So like 15 and dude, he just walks in the Jiffy Mart like he owns the mother. Comes out with 3 cases of beer and just like it's nothing. And he's just like, oh, you guys need another run? I'm like, who the fuck is this cat? I'm like, this is and Jiffy Mart is my home turf. Like that's my mini mart. Like I'm a couple blocks up the road from there. So I'm like, how the fuck I never seen this? Like this guy's coming in my shop, like walking out with beer. I can't do that. What's going on? But I was never a trendsetter or a first adopter. I pretty like routinely fell in like the second adopter before it got out to everyone, but enough to where I had seen it's actually cool and not just one dude doing something I thought was a little funky.
I think that if you look in like the terminology book of this thing or whatever, if you look like commerce, or I don't even know what you would say, but I think that you're still his trendsetter because I'm pretty sure it goes first adopter then trendsetter, so it makes sense.
Oh really?
Yeah, you get the thing from the guys and then you make it like chill.
Okay, I might be first adopter of the trend.
There you go.
I might be 3 levels down. 'Cause again,
no, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit on trend setting.
I like to pick it up, I catch myself. I'm like, you knew about it 3-4 months ago. You should have do it then. You do it, and then within a month or 2 of doing it, now everybody's
doing it. Yeah, exactly.
You just gotta. Because that's like you said, you've been doing it so long, it's going to be cool before it's actually ain't cool. I can see what's cool, but I don't jump on it fast enough to be like, I was in it first. I'm cool with being third tier.
I'm not mad at you. Sometimes, like I said, being the first adopter is not always the best place to be, honestly, because it's a long journey. It's a longer journey.
What were some questionable
first adopters things that I've done?
Yeah.
Shit.
You ever do skinny jeans?
Yeah. For sure. Skinny jeans. I mean, I think some first adopter things that I've done were like, it normally has to do with designer stuff. I wore like, I like to wear like sheer things, like sheer knitted
like
things.
See-through?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love to wear.
That's a power move.
I love to wear like boots, any kind of boot. My favorite is like a motorcycle boot or a harness boot right now, but originally it was like any type of like true, well-made hiking boot.
Okay.
Like a boot made in Maine, where there's still old people
function over
making
form.
Shoes by hand. And yep, definitely a function over form, dude. Like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, when I was at Blackbird Baller, I would say all of that was wonky. Every photo I've ever showed anyone, even including my wife, has been like, looking a little different. Ooh, a little different there. So, I mean, I would say everything. Being a first adopter, sometimes everything's questionable.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was gonna go a hard left there. I was gonna go some fashion don'ts.
I don't know about. I'm sure fashion don'ts were like at one point I was wearing skinny, just like I was doing the snowboarder look, so I was doing like slim jeans, XL. Yeah, I remember.
I know that one.
What to say it. And then, which I think is always a fashion don't.
I think so.
But it just looks cool sometimes. Like keep it a buck. Like
I still rock my snowboarding gear like that. I got a pair of skinny like snowboarding pants that I rock like down to my thighs, and my ass is always frozen because I'm showing it. And then I got the 3XL jacket. We rock it heavy, bro. I still got the Tech 9 bindings, bro. I'm with the shits.
You're definitely getting it in.
In all honesty, I haven't bought new gear since I was in 12th grade. But that was the style then. I guess it's the style now.
Yeah, some things are too good to die, honestly.
I will say though, I love those pants, but I complain about it every time. I have to wear a belt with it. They're just they naturally say that's actually like the way.
Because like I'm gonna say that's like how they are, but you're like,
my
God
ass is
dang.
frozen every time.
As you're older, you're like, yo, what did I enjoy about this so much before? Yeah, man, that's
Well, here, let me give you what I was rocking with. So, like I said, I love people. I'm not discriminatory. I will hang out with the weird kids. I will talk to the homeless people. It does not matter.
Same.
So, around like 9th grade, I got in with the scene kids. And I got really deep into Hot Topic and girl pants. So I was rocking. Yeah.
I cannot see you on
bro,
girl
check
pants.
this out. So there's like I did this summer with my buddy, and here's the other thing. I had a partner in crime who was like willing to just egg me on and do it with me as a joke, but I was doing it serious. So we're both rocking like black and white checkered size 0 girl pants with like a crazy band tee because we were in like hardcore music, and then we both had these like suits from a wedding or something. We were just rocking the suit coat in the summer with like a checkerboard clip-on tie, bro. I swear to God, I went to high school, first day of high school in that outfit.
That is.
And to double up,
intense.
I had purple checkered, red checkered, black checkered, and green checkered. And I got the nickname Checkered.
Yeah, I would have given you the nickname Checkered too.
I was on some wild shit.
That's intense.
So that's some don'ts.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But everything has a season. I guess my don'ts would be like when I was in high school for sure. Just because it was, first of all, I was 4'11".
You were 4'11"?
4'11" until my second year at college. Tiny.
What?
Tiny Kai. But also remember I went to college at 17. But anyway,
so
I wore size 40 jeans most of high school.
So you can be honest with me. You're like low-key genius?
No, I would never say that, man.
I know you wouldn't, but does the paperwork say that on your college application or anything
like
that?
No, man. I would just say that I'm a guy who I think that you've seen. It's just about work ethic, man. It's about work ethic.
Okay.
I'm down to get it in.
Can't argue with that. Beautiful.
Yeah. And that even meant schoolwork. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like, I'm gonna be the best.
That might be where I fell short. I'm good to work, just not school.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think comes to you. You know what I mean? Like my mother was very studious. I don't know if she wasn't gonna settle for bad grades, so that could have been it. Could have been like, yeah, I don't have time to be having to deal with this woman, so I'm just gonna get the grades. You know what I'm saying? And the thing with me is I don't like to argue with anybody. So arguing with my,
easier to do the work than argue.
Every time, anytime. Today.
I have learned that lesson in my life. I probably should have learned it earlier, though.
I think
it would have
paid
off.
Yeah. Nah, man. I'm not with the arguing. I'll even do something I don't think I should do to prove a point. I'll be like, "Oh, you want me to do this? Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's see how this
and
works
then
out."
And when it's done, I go,
instead of just
what happened there? What did we do? What did we accomplish there?
Do you tell them I told you so, or you let them come to the
Nope,
realization?
I asked. I'm with the rhetorical questions.
So did that work out how you thought it was going to?
Did we get what we were looking for?
Okay.
What the fuck?
Guilty. I have done that too. Yeah. I forgot how we even got on this topic.
Me too.
Beautiful. That's how podcasts
that's good.
To go.
Those are especially.
But I know what you were talking about was you're moving now. You're focused on the music side of things here in Tacoma, or at least some musical acts.
I guess I'm most gearing for. One thing I do know about a brand is it does take a lot of work. There are some sleepless nights, and then there's just a lot of like no's that happen, and then a lot of like mess ups that happen. And so I know like every one of those is could just set someone into a mental spiral, you know what I mean? Or emotional spiral about what they want to do or how they thought things were going to work out, or, their version of success and stuff like that. Music to me, in my personal and from also my personal experience, is just far more easy to flow with. It's far more easy to do every day. It's far more easy to kind of do and walk away and not feel like broken from it. Like if you try to design a t-shirt, try to get a graphic off, it doesn't come out right, or it prints weird, or you print it and then people are like, that's just whack or whatever. Like that's totally different from, I feel like, a song, which, I don't know. I guess it's something that I perceive as different.
You built yourself to your liking.
Yep.
And
you're not trying to sell it so much, right? A lot of time with music, you're making it for you. A lot of time with fashion, you aren't. Some people are making it for themselves, but a lot of people are making it.
I was just gonna say, what's the number one rule of fashion? It's not about what you like.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you want a brand, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're dressing up for yourself, then okay, that's cool. But if you're thinking about having a brand that also relates to other people, then that means you're not just thinking about yourself, because you're thinking about relating to other people. And I feel like with music, it's really, and I could be wrong in this, but with music, for me and watching my friends do it always feels like, we're going to do what we do and see where it lands.
Right. It definitely feels more subjective. Like a person can receive it a lot less. No. There's a lot more ways to interpret the way they receive a song opposed to the way they receive a shirt or a 100%. Sweatshirt or something.
Totally. I definitely agree with that. Thank you. Very well said. That was what I was trying to get to. And so for me, I don't really kind of exhausted myself on being like out and about, like at all the shows, on all the scenes, shaking all the hands, getting all the footage, to be able to show people like, people really be in the field, or this is really tight, or whatever it is. So now my hope with it is that I'm just waiting for I'm waiting. I'm in a moment of patience where I'm waiting for the people to realize what they have and show some support to that, and I'm kind of like in a space where I'm not really sure how I or ETC can fit into, making that make sense.
Do you feel like ETC has a spot at that table? I mean, I'll tell you right now, it for sure has. Like, you guys have the ability to gas someone up. That's not, up for question. But like, is that how you want to use ETC right now, or like?
I mean, to keep it a buck, man, I've been trying for I've been trying to Can you ask me a question again?
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's framed right.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is, I know if I had, let me put it this way.
Okay.
If I had ETC and I was in your situation, that's what I would want to, like, I would want to use it to help people. That's just what I use my page for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right. But is that your job to do?
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, our whole thing was about highlighting and making people aware of things, but now you're right. Like, thank you for rewarding that. It's like, I'm not sure that is exactly our place, or if like, because sometimes it's about time and place. So it's also like, is Tacoma 100% prepared for this as well? Like, if we put all of that
someone really
money and work into showing them someone in the right light, would they be like, oh, this is tight? Like, I guess I'm still in the headspace, and it's not that I really care. So I guess the other part what I was saying is, there's been a year that I've been bringing people to ETC and saying, yo, we want to try to get a project off the ground with you. We want to try to find one person that we can find a workflow with, where we can really like put on for them, almost in like a how brands used to do type situation.
A mutually beneficial way.
Like, well, streetwear brands used to put out rappers all the time.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was like, yo, that's what we need to do. Like, everything comes full circle, and like, this is our opportunity to do that.
If that doesn't fit Tacoma like a fucking glove, I don't know what does.
And we haven't had one artist that has been able to work with us. I can't. I don't want to. I'm not putting any names out there. But I've asked names you'd care about.
But that's what I was going to say. To the point where you've extended the olive branch, and it just didn't.
Too many times at this point for me.
That's where I see. That's why I asked that question, because just like we were talking about, that may be a specifically different business model than what you guys are doing, but the engine behind it is kind of the same. You know what I'm saying? 100%. And when you, again, I guess it kind of comes, it's kind of a weird thing in business. Like, even if it doesn't work the first, like, at what point do you call it quits on this? You know what I'm saying? Like, like, we've had some successes, we've had some failures. Like, just because something doesn't work out the first time you try it doesn't mean you scrap it. But at some point there is like
when you take the break,
on the investment. That,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got to figure out, how far you're going to take it. So yeah, like you said, I'm not sure if that's my job anymore. I don't know. I know that if there are people that I care about and want to see win, or there are people that I just genuinely like their artistry, then I'm gonna say their name, and I'm gonna say it more than one time for sure.
Because realistically, I know. I don't know. This is your whole thing, but I don't imagine your goal of this tape is to produce a star that's gonna break out of the city or nothing like that. But if that would be a happy occurrence or whatever.
Right. But really, what it is I would want it to be a situation where they're like, yo, this is just the dude from the town. Like, this is the dude from the T. This is it. Like, this guy's like the dude, and then you can go to see, because About It getting out of here means everyone here has to be listening to it. That's how it gets out of here. I don't know why no one knows that. But that seems like the fucking easiest thing in the world. I'm like, yo, any place that you guys mimic, Tacoma mimics the Bay Area a ton and calls themselves the town, like they're Oakland or some weird shit. And we have even supported that early on, and then found our way even through our journey. Because in the beginning we were like we were teetering on the edge of that too, like trying to make it too much like another thing versus just being like, yo, this is how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it what others do, but for here very specifically, and that has definitely worked for us. So that's why I'm just saying with the music, most of the artists from out here want to switch up their sound or follow someone else's sound, or where this is popping right now, and it's like, I just don't, it's hard for us to. I think it's hard for Tacoma to get behind that. But yeah, our goal would be to take an artist, highlight them in such a way that everyone that cares about hip hop in Tacoma will go, like, yeah, that's like, got it. This is the rightest we've ever seen it done.
Right. Okay. I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to reword this. I hope I haven't talked you and convinced you that this isn't your job. That's not what I was trying to do, because to be honest, the way I think about it, like, if you ask anyone in Tacoma, like, what is the cultural pinnacle on the hill, there's only one answer, right?
In our scene. But we go there's it's very interesting being on the other side of it and knowing and meeting so many people and them saying, what do you do? I was like, I own a little shop downtown. If you're looking at me and I tell you I own a little shop downtown, to me, there's no way that you don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
What the fuck do you think I own? Indochine or something? I don't know. Like, right. What little shop is downtown? So for me, I know that there's so much more land to be covered, and Paris keeps me grounded in that.
Okay,
he keeps me grounded in that all the time. He's like, bro, there's 70% of Tacoma, probably more, that has no idea the fuck ETC Tacoma is or what etc. is.
Right.
They're like, what do you mean etc.? Like, what do you mean ETC?
Yeah.
You mean like etc.? It's like, yeah. And then they'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. so I mean, I understand that as well, and it's something that it's fun. It's part of the, honestly, for me, it ensures that I'll stay here. It's like, yo, there's more ground to be covered, you know what I'm saying? So there's no reason to be trying to like shimmy out of this motherfucker.
Right.
But I also know that Tacoma looks elsewhere for cool. So that was why prior to the pandemic, we were on our way to moving to Seattle. I was getting ready to move to Seattle and run the ETC Seattle full time. Though I don't know what Tacoma programming was going to look like. I was going to pass it off to Daz, but I was going to throw events and parties and open mics in Columbia City, and the pandemic stopped that.
That doesn't sound like it's solidified in cement, though.
I think now I don't really have any want to be in Seattle. That kind of wave has ended for me, especially after watching like how just people moved during the pandemic. It didn't seem,
as far as
just like even with like spending money and stuff like that, or like where they place their time and all that sort of stuff. I felt like, just, I don't know. It felt like a moment in time, and when it went away, it was like, oh dang, that wasn't supposed to happen. And I thanked P for it.
Yeah,
I did. I said, thank you so much, P. For real. Thank you, P. You're the God, Coach P.
Okay, let me finish this thought for you real quick.
Okay.
Because you're right. I know not everyone in Tacoma knows who ETC is, but if anyone's listening to a hip hop tape from the town, they know who ETC is.
I would say that.
I would say you are the only ones who could do it correctly.
I don't argue on you on that. My beef is that even the artists don't think that we can. Like even the artists aren't 100% certain in our wave. Because if they would, why aren't they doing it?
Because they're not. I would imagine
that
they're
doesn't
not
make any sense.
I almost made a wild statement.
Can we bleep something else?
My first thought is they're not confident in themselves before they're not confident in ETC being able to handle that side of the project. Okay. That seems like it'd be right up your board. What?
Okay, that could be another thing.
If you have, someone coming to you and like, hey, we're gonna put this on, we're gonna put you on, like, let's get going.
I don't understand.
How are you gonna be like, I don't know about you?
I would, yeah.
Like what?
Thinking more. That's I can't imagine.
Right there. It may not be free,
but yeah, I have to imagine it would be something like politics or just something out there that I can't imagine has anything to do with.
It's over our head.
Yeah. What you gonna do?
It's over our head.
Not great, guys.
The best thing about being on Tac'd is I know that like I can have these with you. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like they're weird. And I know like people might, maybe the viewers might feel like I'm kind of like angsty or whatever, but I'm not. I still think that Tacoma's gonna go crazy. I still think Tacoma goes the craziest, honestly. But it's just reality. This is the facts. I'm looking at it every day. We're
not here to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I can't argue what's happening. And so yeah, when I'm here talking with you, I know it's like we're not jollying our way through it. You feel me? Like, and so for me, it's like, well, these are the cold hard facts. Now what are we gonna do about it? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where that's the turning point that Tacoma is in right now.
What a beautiful approach. What the fuck are we gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know that I have all the answers, but I do agree with your approach. I would much rather put it out here and let the people know, like, not my shop. I don't know what the future holds, but it doesn't sound like things are going as swimmingly as we thought they were if people aren't going to, support. Because I don't have to explain to you how business works, but without any money coming in.
From a business standpoint, it does do well. I won't front. I mean, clearly you don't see me and P driving no Benzes or no weird, you know what I'm saying? Like nothing like that. So it's not going that swimmingly, but it's doing very well for sure. Like we have a sustainable business that can potentially be around till our children have children and longer than that. And that's a blessing. I mean, our plans are to be Filson, not to be. There's only two companies that I would compare what we want to do to right now. There's three. I love TH. So obviously the hundreds, but it's Stussy and it's Filson. Like that's what we're here to do. We're here to be a heritage brand to Tacoma and eventually create jobs for Tacomans through production and marketing and whatever else amazing skills Tacomans decide that they can offer us once we have, as a village, put ourselves in a space where we can begin to do that. So yeah, fiscally, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about culturally, man. I'm talking about culturally, shit is not as going as swimmingly because motherfuckers don't show up.
My statement. I was just gonna say I'm not pocket watching. That's not what
not at all. Yeah, no, it wasn't even like that.
I'm specifically talking about the reserve of culture. 100%. That's what drives it,
and that's everything.
Of course,
the dollar. It just kind of follows it. So
everyone has to wear clothes every single day of the week.
So
we all know that
so you're
it's a solid business model, but we are talking about what keeps the company alive.
Yes.
What makes ETC what it is? What makes it the staple?
What makes it a hub?
Yes.
The kids got to show up. And kick it. And don't feel weird about kicking it. You know, I tell kids all the time. There's a lot of intimidation.
I will say I'm really glad you said that because I'll admit I can't say I've never come there with the intentions of kicking it. Every time I come there, I do usually end up kicking it.
For sure. But yeah, it's very rare that even someone like yourself is like, I'm just in here chilling.
Yeah.
But you're also someone who's hella productive, Spence, so I don't expect that from you. I don't expect you to be there for 2 hours or something like that unless we're having the conversation. And then you might go off from that conversation and get into whatever we were just talking about. You might make a phone call for a rental space. You might hit up Gary and be like, yo, let's get to the studio. You're going to be productive when you walk away from that moment. So it's the kids that are still it's the kids and the adults, the young men, the young ladies that are still trying to figure out what they are doing. It's like, sit here and talk about it, bro.
Right. So let me ask you this, actually, because I hadn't thought about that. Obviously, we're coming up on 7 years. The at
Tacoma.
Yes, no shit.
That's all y'all. You see me being angsty, but I still love you.
So what does that put me at? That puts me at I think 20 years old. So pretty much fresh out of high school. What is that, 2014?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 20 years old.
I mean, whoa.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Are you getting in the new generation of kids who are coming in at, 16 and 17?
I mean, can I tell you something? For the most part, I'm finding them.
Okay, I was going to ask.
That's not right.
Yeah.
That's not right.
I have to.
The first generation of kids that you see who have gone crazy at this point
didn't share it with anyone. They kept it to themselves.
They pulled right up. They pulled up, and then they were like, "I'm staying here. I'm hanging out. If they're not asking me to leave, I'm kicking it." And I'm like, "Where is that?" I thought there would be so much more of that because they've seen it. Look at Aramis.
Right.
Look at Daz. There are so many kids who we saw so early, go crazy. Bougie man.
Yes.
We've seen kids go wild. Belugs, DJ QJ. These guys own their own businesses now.
Yep. And they're doing good.
Very well for themselves. So it's I know that it all happens in time though.
Yeah, the season.
You can't rush the season of that. You know what I'm saying? You can't rush the season of that. But it bugs people out. Even bugs Aramis out. Aramis is like, where are the me's?
Yeah.
He's like, the energy is so different from 907, and I'm like, it's fucked up.
Dang, I had no idea this was even going on there. Which adds to it, because you know what that tells you. I ain't been down there.
That's what I was gonna say, Spence.
I know.
Which I know that, and I know that you're very open and honest to be like, damn, okay. But I'm not someone like yourself. You still add to it. Well, you've left to do this, and you're giving me a platform to say these things. Wouldn't even be able to say them without you, Spence. Based off of you going there, getting inspired, feeling away, and being like, I gotta make something happen.
Right.
I gotta shake some shit up.
But you see, and it's so crazy because all it takes is a small perspective tweak. I never looked at it like it was about the location. I looked at it like it was about the people, you and Perry and Daz and everyone who's putting this together and everyone else who's coming to support it. And I remember being I'm one of those people who, if I see someone got the same thing on that I got in a party or a function, I'm changing. Or I'm asking them to go change.
Yeah, basically, so you're or I'm like, can I get a jacket? Somebody.
Unless it's ETC.
Because we might be gang.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the only time it's cool. That's the only time. But it was, open mic night, that kind of like. I guess now that like I'm sitting back reflecting on it, like 907 definitely had a different energy and like. But okay, so when did you guys move from 907 to the other spot? Right around the time, like a little bit before
the year before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we weren't open a full year when the pandemic happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So it could be more than just one, It
so
could
yeah,
be
part of it, Daz,
and that's just to give me a little leeway. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. While we've spoken about it, we have been like, the shop was open and we opened the new shop, and then we immediately weren't in the shop anymore. Like it was a wrap. You couldn't come over. You couldn't kick it. Couldn't do anything. My gripe to that is we threw secret shows numerous amounts of times, Daz and I, and people didn't show up. Right.
To the secret show? To
the secret show. And their whole gripe was like, I don't know who's going to be there, or like, how poppin' is it going to be, and all that. And like, for me, that's
the
like,
whole point of a secret.
Yo, like, Tacoma, you'll never be LA or New York or any of that shit because people get up and go every day.
Yeah. It's just,
and they're just showing up. House. And if they show up and it's kind of wonky, they hang out for 30 minutes and they dip. It's like, I just don't even know. But I've never really understood the Tacoma, to keep it about. But so, like, not the, like, just the kid in the field,
it's never going to be LA.
And I never understood why they wanted to be LA. I'm like, yo.
I've never heard that statement made. I've never said I wanted to be like LA, but I've always saw Tacoma as it was. I never had my own vision for it or what I think it should or shouldn't be.
Oh, that's tight.
I've always just kind of gone with it. It made me who I am today. It's forever changing.
I mean, the only reason why I would say people say it's like LA because they be like, yo, I'm about to be in LA. LA was so popping or whatever. They get out the city for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So they're in a different space. But when they're out here, they're like, oh, there ain't nothing to do in Tacoma. And I have never felt that way.
No,
except outside of being, when I was 15 to 17.
Had no money and no car.
I had a money and a car and still didn't have shit to do. And that's how I knew, like, yo, there ain't nothing for me here. And like, that's why I left.
Oh, but in LA?
Here. When I was 15 to 17 years old, right before going, had a giggy. I worked at Jim Rez.
It just was.
Yep, as a dispenser.
Okay. Sweet.
Get my bread yet. And I also.
Speaking of which, what you think?
Ooh. Let's go. I love a good. I love two fish braids.
That's another COVID trait. I made the joke. It took so long to get the haircut. I made the joke. I was like, fuck, I might as well braid it. And then I finally make it to the chair, and I made the joke again. And she's like, oh, we can do that. I'm like,
give me a go.
Let's go. Give it a go. We've been rocking it like 6 months or so now.
I think the last time I saw you had two braids in. Yeah. I rock with it though. I'm big on the toothbrush.
It's getting out of hand.
I ain't gonna front.
I think I gotta chop it off.
I rock with it on blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about like, is it Switzerland? No. Swedish people that do the big braid?
Yeah. They do the big honey bun on top.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
the Princess Leia.
Yeah, that shit's hard to me. And it's also like culturally appropriate.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of it.
I don't know that the Vikings braid. They probably did. They did.
I bet you they had a big ass braid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, some sex
too.
But
I definitely know they did dreads.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's from not showering. I don't know that they were specifically like braiding each other's hair, but
maybe.
I'm sure they did something to keep it out of the way. Because I tell you what, I lose my fucking mind when it's not in a braid and it's just like I can't have it touch my face, and I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this to myself? Then I get braided up, and I'm like, all right.
Here we go. They're nice and set right here.
I forgot about the last 2 weeks. I didn't have it in, but.
Oh, man. Man, can I ask you a question, Spence?
Please. I meant to say that at the beginning of the podcast. Feel free to ask me any questions.
What, ideally, like, what does our music scene look like to you here? If it's like ideal,
like
does that mean that like we're getting respect outside of Tacoma, Washington, and all of the PNW, or for you is it like we just need to like get on our Bay Area, Houston, Atlanta, and just stay focused and let everyone else hear the sound? Or like, what is it?
Well, that's interesting. There's a couple lines of thoughts on that. For me, making it in the music industry is being able to tour. Like if you can go outside your city and you get respect, which is
for sure,
generally 100%. How it starts. You got to go outside your city to get love in it, right? So if you can go out and you can tour and you can come back and bring that to the city, and you got people who are fans of you because you're from the city. I mean, anything up from there is gravy.
Yep.
Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a fan of every artist that comes out of Tacoma.
Nor am I.
Yep. So I don't. When I think of like, if we're to get on our Memphis shit or our Florida shit or whoever the South, like they all got a pretty distinct sound, and I don't know that I've really heard anything too distinct.
I've never heard a distinct sound from the Pacific Northwest.
That's not to say there isn't fire music that comes out of here. In fact, I dig a lot of the local guys. And here's another one. So like I just showed the homie Bear Bro, and I'm on it. I'm like, yeah, this is fire, and he's like, this is not it.
Yeah, some people do not like Bear. I played Bear a couple times.
What don't you like about it? He's like, well, it doesn't have the production. I'm like, oh my God, I'm asking the wrong person's opinion. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about, bro. This was made in a fucking basement. Would you fuck off?
So another thing about Washington that I do think is true is like, the only thing to me that I see across the whole board is like, we come from a pretty decent school system. So everyone can speak fairly well. So most of the rappers are very wordy and got hella bars. We're very witty,
and we also don't have the slang, like our own slang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
like,
very few and far between.
We're on not first adopter, but trendsetter off the baseline most of the time.
I mean, we have to leave Oakland alone. We have to.
Guilty.
If I was from Oakland, I'd be like, dude,
guilty.
Please stop. But my other thing with it is like, it kind of comes down to the other side of it, right? It was like, maybe the rappers got a sound, but there is no actual sound here. There's no production value sound. That's why I be pressing the Garys, the QJs. I'm like, you guys are going to lead this thing. That's why QJ could change the game with his compilation tape.
Tales from the T, Volume 3?
No, he's got another one coming out too. His own.
Oh, that's
on some DJ Khaled shit. Exactly.
And it's time to start using my degree, Spencer.
No shit. You want to... Beautiful.
Okay. I like that.
I have a degree in audio production, so that's actually and I got it up in Seattle at the Art Institute.
Oh yeah.
So it's like one of the very few degrees from like a fucking art school that is actually practical, as you can
see. Yes.
But I've been thinking about dipping back into music, and hearing you say that, I'm like, man, fuck.
Maybe you can help me to say, help curate.
I'll buy ETC someday.
Well, here's one thing. So, like, I had very similar. Again, I'm by no means really skilled in the behind the scenes of like how to make music and whatnot. Right. But Quentin, Tacoma Records, yeah. So he is friends with my mom, who introduced me to him.
Yep.
And then I was putting in the groundwork to actually introduce Gary to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stoked. I was like, Gary, this is a big fucking break. I'm like, like this could really mean something. And like, I kind of, it was really my fault. I should have like laid things out. But I kind of just linked like, here's his number, go back and forth. And like, the way I got to like, it was miscommunicated, and like Q was under the assumption that Gary was trying to come in and just use his equipment, and when I was in reality like trying to set Gary up to meet Q and like understand like how he does his like business. Commercial beats for Pepsi, licensing, and Dove, and like how to actually
get that bread, make a living off of it.
And so it like it went haywire right off the top. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, one of these days we're gonna make that connection. But
a couple things have gone weird with me and Gary. And I feel bad. Gary, I love you. I know a lot of people in the music industry, so I just wanted to get to a place where I felt comfortable passing out Gary beats. Gary's probably my favorite producer from Tacoma.
I don't rap, and I have bought beats off Gary.
Just because.
They're mine. You can't have them.
And
sorry.
He's incredible.
Hey, I'm a businessman, though. If the price is right. I never said that. Everything's for sale.
Gary, like, again, man, I think that's to sum all of that up, like, I think that's really the thing, And it is hard to do that when someone like Gary is someone with a true pure talent, right? And a work ethic also.
Yes. I have seen him slave.
I mean, a work ethic.
Like, I have gone and done all my stuff and hit him up for a like secondary kick it session, and he ain't moved. I'm like, all right, bro. That's not me, but I'm glad someone's doing it.
And I just wish that we had maybe more of like a streamline to it. And to talk about Q, like, Q has said that he wants to be the person that can help bring the business of music to Tacoma.
Yes.
And help the young engineers, producers, rappers understand the other avenues outside of having a viral hit.
I don't know if this is a secret, so I'm gonna blast it in like the super nonchalant way. So okay, so I I'm trying to figure. I don't know. It's not a big deal. I just don't know if he wants everyone to know like he's playing a part in it. But so he probably doesn't mind. We're gonna go. No one's watching this anyways. Whatever.
Don't do that.
So I'm sitting down with Q, and he's like, I'm just asking. He just got back from LA. I'm like, so what are you working on over there? And he's like, oh, bro, let me show you. Do you know who? Like, I think it's. Look this up on Instagram. It's like Lil Michaela or something like that. I think I might have unfollowed it because it honestly got weird. But it's literally like...
It's super weird.
You know who it is?
Yeah. Q brought us in to work on it. We were supposed to build outfits for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a big secret.
I think it's probably just,
That's it right there. So that's a robot. That's not a person. That's a robot who actually sings and dances, does choreography, goes on tour. It's literally a like slave robot they have built and like created a music. I swear to God, how many million followers does this thing have?
3 million.
Yeah, and like you can watch this. Yeah, it's the weirdest fucking thing, but this is the kind of shit like. I don't know if it's going to take off or not, but this is the kind of shit either. Q's in. He's obviously he's finding avenues, and that's exactly what like.
Yeah. And that's exactly what he's trying to explain to people.
To really be in the music industry as an independent, like you need injections of cash. There's just no two ways about it. So
100%.
I think Dog, it is I swear to God, I think I unfollowed it because it gets weird. Like. The whole thing is so, like,
I don't really.
She's got her own
it.
friends and like I don't know, dude.
It's kind of crazy.
Is fucking weird.
And they say robot, but like I think that she might be digital.
Like just
I've never
photoshopped
seen.
in.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Like I don't know if there's a tangible Michaela.
So he showed me a video
of like them shaking hands.
No, dude, it was like literally the scene from Darth Vader when they're like putting the helmet on and like they were like. I want to say they were like adding like software updates or something. Maybe they had her on the docking station or something, dude. I don't know, but it was literally like there was like strobe lights going in the back, and it was like the head coming down or something, dude. It was weird, so fucking weird.
Yeah, no, the whole thing is creepy to me.
Okay,
but it's a big thing internationally because like apparently they're like Michaela is like the first thing of it, but they're like trying to do like girl band like Korean type. Like pop band type shit.
I maybe the best way to describe it is like what a porn robot is, right? Like that's just a robot they made for you to bang, right? This is essentially just a music robot that they built to perform music.
Yeah, just
without having to feed
which I think is kind of cool because I'm pretty sure what they're trying to do is like maneuver out having to deal with real people.
That's exactly what it is.
Which is like, and then there will be some people on the back end, like songwriters who still get paid here and stuff, but like it won't really be like.
There's no bratty 19-year-old.
Exactly.
You can disassemble her and put her in the suitcase for the airplane ride. Like she's never gonna tell you no. Yeah. She's not gonna have any friends or boyfriends warp her mind or get in, interested with another label or something.
How many people do you think follow that account just because of
I'll tell you right now, I bet you half are bot or fake or something, but
I feel like it's a lot of youth too, but also know other parts of the world are a bit more obsessed with this disassociation with like reality.
Yeah, that's true too. Like the young, like us, we know it's weird because all we've interacted with is people. Like there are kids coming up right now who it's not necessarily going to be weird to interact with a robot. Yeah.
So I do know it's a lot of youth too, which is also scary because I'm just like, they're trying to.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. So if we did produce a star, do you think we have the utilities to even like help that truly manifest? Like the way I think of it is like, obviously I wasn't there for it. I doubt you were too, but like the big punk scene, like the grunge scene in Seattle in the 90s, where we were putting out like Soundgarden, Nirvana, like these monster fucking acts.
Legendary to this
coming
day.
out of the basement.
Yeah.
Right?
No, not really. Actually, there were some now considered legendary studios, but they weren't legendary back then.
Also very true.
So
they were a little shitty, yeah, Jones. But they became legendary because of the records that were cut there.
Exactly.
No, you're absolutely right. I didn't know that, so thank you for telling me. But it's the same thing. Like I was listening to another rapper talk, and he was like, "My biggest fucking hit, I can't listen to anymore because I didn't get it mixed and mastered." And it was like he had, I forget who it was and what song he was talking about, but whatever it was like a one-hit wonder or whatever that catapulted it into. And then from there, he had money to get in the studio and actually mix and master, so he can hear the difference in like all his songs now and that song, and he can't go back and listen to it because or like 3/4 of Gucci Mane's catalog, like
early stuff is tough.
Yeah, and then once you do pick up the ear to tell the difference, you're like, well, fuck, now I'm listening to like a ringtone on my iPod.
Yeah, you just have to be okay. That's something you have to be okay with. I'm into lo-fi, so I'm like, it doesn't bother me, but Coach P, he cannot play something when it's not properly mixed because he's like, it just sounds bad.
I grew up
and he'll just tell you like it just sounds bad.
I grew up on LimeWire, so I couldn't give a fuck less. But I remember my dad tripping anytime I played a LimeWire song. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with this?" I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Sounds like the same song I listen to on the radio.
Yeah, no, your ears get trained to it for sure. Yeah, that's it. So to say what you're saying about like whether or not we can help
facilitate
someone to the top. I believe so. I believe that we could do that because it would be based off of, I think we have all the spaces and places to do it here, right? So they're popping into town, they're going crazy, right? So then they have their first show, let's say Jazz Bones, so that we're keeping it nice and historical, and they sell out 3 nights at Jazz Bones. To me. And then this is how they should do it. Then they leave, boom, they do their little tour like you said. There's a hit someplace because the songs because they like this guy. So eventually he puts out a song, and then there's another hit, and then this hit's bigger because people outside of the city also know it. And when he comes back, now the dude's doing like, I don't know, the Rialto or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So to me, we do have the places and spaces to help facilitate people that like want to come and actually engage, because the live show is where then you like fall over the edge and now you're in love with someone, right? And you're like, yo, this is just like it is in the whip. Like that's where you get. So to me, again, it has to do with like the audience. I believe the city of Tacoma is structured in a manner that can make a ton of sense. I mean, if a dude is big enough and he's home, a Tacoman selling out the Tacoma Dome
would be insane. Crazy. But let me ask you this:
like, it's almost unfathomable to us right now.
That's what
I said that and it was like, yeah, fucking good luck.
Yeah, pipe dream.
Or who? Right now, I'm like the only person that I can even think of is Aramis. Right. Because Claw is actually rolling and they're about to be on tour.
Holy shit! Congrats to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's something done truly. Organically.
You earned every penny. Good for you guys.
Everything.
Honestly.
Everything.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay,
none of the weird. A lot of people out here take like a weird shortcut type thing or something like that, or like, ooh, I seen this work. So I'm like, right. These dudes gathered the right people around them, and now it's just like.
And if you ask them, I don't think they could even tell you what they did right.
No. Yeah, Miss was like, she's gonna be a rock star, bro. Dude, and he's good to people. Yes. And he sacrificed. He pivoted. Everybody was so sad when Aramis left Toe Jam, except for Aramis.
Yep.
That should have been a clear sign right there.
Yeah, we could get it. Actually, that's funny. I was going to make a Toe Jam reference in my rebuttal. So, because like, I think we have the means to facilitate that rise, but I don't know that we have anything that's going to keep them here, right? I think of like...
it would have to be love.
Yes, that's the only thing. That's the only thing. Because like the most recent guy coming out of Seattle I can think of, just of any notoriety, is like Lil Mosey, right? Yep. And I had zero knowledge of him while he was in the city. I only knew of him once he moved out.
None of us did. You know, like I was very close to Lil Mosey's story because Marvin is the guy that shot his video that made it onto that whatever that website was, and that's how he went viral.
And again, that is not to say because I didn't know about him, he wasn't here in the city or
but he was
in the
not.
area.
He was not.
Okay.
He was just a little kid up north wanting to make music, paid for a good video.
But you want to know...
He went viral.
And why I say it's kind of a weird example. I honestly don't think the show had anything to do with his success, but my first introduction to Blueface was Toe Jam. Was him coming here to Tacoma.
Oh, no. What? That's because of Scoob. The bad guy Scoob, and Aramis when they ran Sweet A. Scoob is more than a first adopter. I don't even know what to really call the dude, but he knew Blueface was going to be famous, and he got Blueface out here immediately.
Really?
Yes. Scooby is the A&R of Tacoma, if they would let him. People don't like Scooby enough for whatever reason, I guess. I don't know, Scoob. I love you to death, man. I can't tell you what's going on.
The only issue I got with Scoop was he wore the same Killian jacket as me at a function once.
And that's a good reason to beef.
And I didn't tell him to leave. I wouldn't change.
You're like, I'm out of here. I'm out. That's beautiful. Yeah, man. So, yeah, I'm with you, though. It's going to, and that's what it goes back to what I'm talking about. It's the audience, man. It's going to take some real love, man. It's going to take the tea. Even in Seattle, man, they have. So remember when Seattle a year ago, everyone in Seattle was like, Tacoma is going crazy right now. They're making the best music. Like, that was a real thing happening in the hip-hop scene.
And that's because we were saying it.
We were saying it for sure, but then they started to mirror that to us. Every time I was in Seattle, they were like, man, y'all going crazy with the music right now.
I never heard it from a Seattleite's mouth, but I'm glad to hear that.
I heard it from a lot of Seattleite's mouth.
Yeah, I've been saying that for maybe like the last 4 years, pretty loud.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've always stood for our artists 100%. You worked with a lot of them before. So it makes a ton of sense. You know, in Seattle right now, there's a thing where like they have 4 of the best rappers I've ever seen. 4 of the best songwriters I've ever seen in the Pacific Northwest. Dave B.
Yes.
Royce the Choice.
Yes.
Travis Thompson. And a guy named Mafi D.
Oh, okay.
These guys are... And Royce the Choice's album sounds like the Pacific Northwest. And so does Travis's. So I take back what I said, Tyler. Tyler Dops, you might be the boy. Because... And then... Royce, if I could shout out your producers, I would. But you be A&R in the streets, so you know how to do it. But like those guys, the fact that they're not being championed, like Little Mos, no one should give. But it's different for me because his music doesn't even represent here for me. So it's like,
no.
So for me, it's like no one should give a fuck about Little Mosley, and they should only care about like Royce the Choice and Travis Thompson. You know, to me, or Dave B. I mean, Dave B's, you know, that's the music. All those guys are my favorite guys. I listen to all these guys. Love Mafi D. He's the streets for real.
Mafi D kicked up or something like that on Instagram.
He's the streets for real.
Okay.
Yeah. He's really that boy. To me.
Does he run? He works with the
Bag.
Yeah, Bag.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God.
The ambitious
Very
and
much in the know. Come on, my guy.
Beautiful.
Great brand. Would love to connect with Black and do something with them too one day. You know what I mean? We've seen each other.
Yeah, my boy Coleman put me on them.
Yeah, it's a good brand.
Forbidden Fruits.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
That's the boy. Yeah.
But yeah, man, like that's kind of stuff should just be championed. So it's not just. It's our region.
Yeah.
It's like we're not standing as much as we should. Like, why isn't Portland blacking out over Amine? They should still be talking about his album. It's incredible. And it does reference the Pacific Northwest. I keep, so maybe, and I don't know if his sound is completely Pacific Northwest either, too, because he's got like a lot of his own cultural influence from it, because he's like an African, for real. So I don't really know, man. You know, I don't know, man. Dude, I don't know. I'm kind of bummed on just like why aren't people being championed in their own when they're putting out very, very quality work. I mean, the first 3 people we talk about are on Spotify playlists.
Yeah, that Dave B tape. Okay, Dave B, like, what was the last one? The tape you guys had at the shop.
What was the last thing that we did with Dave?
Punch? Yeah,
Punch Drunk.
Punch Drunk,
which was his comeback.
Yes. So I had that CD in the R32, which would be like, yeah. So that was like the last CD I got.
Oh shoot!
And I sold the car with that CD in it. I hit the dude back up for the
CD. He was like, yo.
I'm like, bro, I need that back. He's like, all right, I got you. Yeah. But dude, again, like Dave beat it. It's not necessarily like that's not what I'm gonna go to. But he just dropped that tape, and man, that's the coolest sound of fucking music ever. Like he had it. That's a fucking sound. That's a sound. And so what I was just about to say was like, and me and you have had this conversation before, and I still get the same feeling every time I talk about it. I feel like we are on the cusp. Like this whole area has been on the cusp for years, and that's why I go back to like the popping to one guy. I feel like it takes one guy to really pop, and like from there opens up the whole area. And that's how we get that. Like
it has to be the right guy though, right? Because Mosey went, but again, like you were like, I never seen him in the city. No one had.
Yeah,
so there was this huge disconnect. We were like, oh yeah, this popping kid from Seattle. And we were like, from where?
Yeah.
And then Seattle. I don't know if you saw when early on in those days, I mean, they obliterated him on Twitter.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because he's a kid, and they were like, "This little bastard is not from Seattle." They're like, "We don't know where he's from, bro." You know, and then you have people being like, "Oh no, I did see him," like young kids or whatever. But it's like, yo, the rappers that are like the artists that are on the scene that are selling out these venues. Shout out to Dave B. Pretty sure he just sold out the Neptune for the weekend that he was in town. It's Congrats. Like with Sango and Stas the Boss.
Okay, we really have some fucking talent in this place. Let's get started on Sango. Jesus Christ.
It's an international beat maker. And
yes, what if he
he also does try to create the sound. Like him and Dave B put out a whole tape that they specifically, I mean, Sango recorded the rain. Like he recorded recorded noises out in Seattle to make sure like this sounds like Seattle. Right? It's not my favorite tape from Dave B, but the work is being put in, right? And like it's not, to me, it's just not being championed.
I mean, unfortunately, it sucks, but I think it just means our work isn't done yet.
Exactly, because we're the awareness.
We can sit
right?
here and bitch about it,
yeah,
and complain, but if we don't do it, who will?
Yeah,
and if no one's doing it, then we're for sure never gonna get that
That's
spot.
the fact. Yeah, we're just cooked. So
you might be yelling into a distant void, but it's better than sitting with your finger up your butt.
For sure, it is. Hell yeah. I mean, look at Kanye. He screamed his way to being a billionaire. Literally. Not that he's not talented, but there are lots of people that are that talented.
You gotta have talent. You gotta have content. Good stuff in order to actually make it. You can't just do something and then
right.
be great. Like,
well, and I'm not a big, like, I have to self-promote myself because no one else is going to do it, but not to the point where it's, egregious or anything. Exactly. But, like, really, people like that who come off as so brash, but it's because no one else is doing it for them. They got to the point where you're at, and you know what they said? Fuck it. I'm going to just double down and all about me. Like,
top,
if you motherfuckers ain't going to talk to me, I'm going to talk about myself twice as loud, twice as much.
Exactly. It does work, man. It's just not my personality.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And I tell the youth that too. When youth ask me why they don't, the youth have asked me in the art scene, in the music scene, all they have asked me like, yo, why ain't I going? I'm like, probably not being loud enough, man. It's unfortunate. But like, it's about either having a really solid network of people who believe in you, because you can have a network and people not believe in you.
I still think there's just a solid amount that comes out to luck. I mean, I've tried to do all the calculations, but you can do everything right. You can do everything you're supposed to, and it still might not work out.
Yeah.
And you can walk onto the field with a fucking blindfold on and still hit it out the park. I mean, I don't know.
It's timing. It's timing, man. To me, it's timing. The only thing that I've seen work is like it was a moment in time that the thing worked, and then you're now you've got the A. It's all about maintaining the A grade. You know what I'm saying? Like from what I've seen anyway, it just feels like it's timing. You know what I mean? And then it takes a village, man. Then you got to bring people in, man, for real. Like even when I read Shoe Dog, it's like the most inspiring book for me as a entrepreneur. And
put that on the list. I don't know. I don't think we have a list, but make one.
It's about timing, man, for real. Like, and then understanding how to hire people. You bring on people to do the work. You feel me? Like, you don't do all the work. Fucking, what's his dude? Warhol.
Andy Warhol.
Come on now. You know how many people he had painting them shits? Teams of motherfuckers. So it's just like, yo, that's what you're trying to do.
So this is, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know that it's considered a business podcast, but we usually end up talking about business in one way or another. So let's get at least one pretty business, strictly present question in. What is some of your best advice for when it comes to hiring people? Like, what are you looking for in a person? What are like immediate disqualifiers, or like, are you looking at someone's resume, or do you have like a specific vision of what you want that person to become, and it doesn't matter what is, I don't know.
Man, honestly, with hiring people, even like from reading Shoe Dog, like, yeah, you're looking for people with the credentials, but then you're also filling them out. You're also filling people out, and then you're doing a lot of observing. You know me, I'm the type of dude. I mean, I'm fortunate to be where we are because I can do the intern to hire thing, which just works the best in my field, you know, because it's about being fully invested, you know, like.
I was looking at like a tryout for select sports.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't Metro Parks. You can't just walk on this bitch. Like, man, you gotta come on, show me you with it. I'm gonna put you through the ringer, and if you're still with it, then you
gotta buy in.
Yeah.
Yep. Like any select team, you gotta buy into the program. Yep. Like any good D1 program, if you're not buying into the program, like any good NFL team, basketball team, if you're not buying into the program, then you're not. You know what I mean? Then you're not gonna. To me, you're not gonna be around.
Yeah, you're just a one body.
Yeah, you're just,
I can find that anywhere.
For sure. You got to buy into the program. So, you know, what I'm looking for is a kid who either knows nothing about this and is obsessed with it. That's the best kid.
Yep.
He's doing too much research.
Knows nothing but ready to learn.
Or I'm looking for a me and P. Just the young drip god who's floating. And I can be like, yo, come over here.
You look like you need a place.
Like you need a place to.
Yeah.
Look like you need a place to figure it out, my boy. Like that's really what I want to find. You know, that's really what I'm after. You know, our intern right now, Philip. To me, that's him.
Philip,
you know, Stefaglo.
There we go. That guy's crazy with a camera.
Incredible, man, and so young, and just has, to me, the sky is really the limit. Great, comes from a great family. His older brother is even how he knows about the company, so it's just organic how he's.
Oh, so he's second gen.
Yep.
Yeah, bet.
Yep.
The youth is still alive.
Nah, he's a boy, and if he can keep it up, he'll affect some change as well. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and he's the first kid in a long time that I've personally wanted to take under my wing.
That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling when you find someone who is a good fit. You're able
he's a kid, man.
Because you can but actually finding someone who's willing to listen and, you know.
And he knew how to play the game, man.
Yeah.
He knew how to come in and kick it. He knew how to kick it while I was there. He knew how to kick it when I wasn't there. You know, like.
You can't teach him everything.
You can't, yeah, man.
Some shit.
Yeah. And when you see that, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then he also, the crazier thing is I turned Philip down twice. I was just like, I don't know, Phil. I don't know. But Phil never stopped showing up, bro.
Beautiful. I mean,
yeah, he's amazing.
He wasn't gonna let you take that away from him.
Nah, man. That's my main thing. Is like, dude was certain of himself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah, he's just wrong right now. I'll be back.
Yeah, exactly.
I just didn't convince him that well this time.
Yeah, and he knows why he's in that back room. He knows how he got to be a back office boy. Like, he can articulate it to you. And that makes me more proud of him.
That's sick. That's so cool. Congrats, Philip. So, moving forward, then, speaking of the future of ETC, where do you see it? Like, do you got any?
Man, again, I have to stress that we want to be, a heritage brand here. So any way that we can get to that level is what we're about. But heritage takes time. So there's nothing that you can do. You can't push that in any way. So for us, the goal is to stay extremely consistent, Spence, and then find ways of, people in our industry, they want to see collaboration. So I'm gonna get out there and do a little bit more asking around for collaboration. But it's also very disheartening when companies that are bigger from here don't understand how to connect with the ground floor,
the new generation.
Like, that's disappointing. Like, I don't want to go have to talk to a Columbia or Filson representative or even an Evansfield Flannel representative. It's like, yo, these guys are kind of got a place in the market. And it's also like, Ebbets
was giving you that treatment too?
No, we've worked with Ebbets for sure. But my thing with Ebbets or even like any of those brands, Filson, fucking Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, what? You got Tina on your team and you have wronged the black community more than one time. You can make it right by like tapping in, showing support, really growing business here locally. But also, they're a Seattle brand, so I don't even expect that from them. There are Tacoma brands that could be doing this, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time, it's like, also, I don't give a fuck. So I'm on both sides of the fence.
Came this far without you.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, we'll be those dudes then.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get up there and then we'll be like, my boy, my boy, my boy, my boy. It's like, yo, like you said, we'll just continue to lead by example. That's why it never really gets me down. It just is always like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So I just put them on the face like,
I'm not stoked about it.
Yeah, like I'm not, but also we're going to keep trucking. We're going to keep on trucking. That's the main thing. And then for me, other than that, it's Umi's Corner, man. I just want to really grow getting other brands back into Tacoma. The Heems and the...
Which I just saw Bougie got a collab.
Collab, yeah.
Fucking major.
Yeah, the Heems and the whatever people are into, Like, I'm not really into shit right now, so I don't have brands to name. But when I get back into brands, you know what I mean? I want to be able to put people on, but also understand, like, my word don't mean shit to a good amount of people. So there's that too.
Who are you talking to?
Just like, there have been plenty of times that I've told people like, yo, this is the coolest shit. Rocked it, worn it, and then like it'll be like 6 months later when they're like, oh damn, this is tight. It's like, dog, what the fuck? So I don't care. I don't care, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
All I'm doing now at this point in the stage is observing the actual facts versus like trying to talk my way around what I want it to look like.
Trying to convince someone.
Or convince my fucking self.
Yeah.
I'm done doing that. I think I tried to do that the first couple of years about what it was supposed to look like or what we could get it to look like, and then you just learn like, oh, that's not where we're at. So let's do it another way. Let's figure it out. Like, we moved our drop day from traditional streetwear drop day on Thursdays to Saturdays because P was like, yo, people only do shit on the weekends here with me. And the first year and a half that I was back here, I was struggling with that.
To do it on a Saturday?
Because people take the weekend off in LA.
Oh, okay.
You're not partying. My wildest nights were Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Really?
Or like a Monday, yeah.
Yeah, this definitely ain't LA.
Hell no. It's Friday, Saturday here. And you're lucky if you get a Sunday. We threw Sunday Funnies at Jazz Bones. People came out to one of them. Then like, oh, I don't know if I can do every Sunday. Or I don't know if I can even do one Sunday a month. It's like, okay.
It is disheartening when you talk about it like that, bud.
Bro, it's not about bringing it down. It's about, again, the cold, hard facts, right? Because even when I say this out loud, like, again, like, there are people that will be in denial about it. Like, nah, we be pulling up, or nah, I be showing up, or whatever. I'm like, yo, you're talking about your micro universe.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the greater Tacoma. Do you think the greater Tacoma understands our scene, our industry?
No.
That's the problem.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, because sorry, I have a whole line of thought. I'm trying to like put it in motion. Because it's bigger than the ones like you're talking. The greater Tacoma is like. So you got your core group of people who are coming in, right?
Yeah.
Greater Tacoma is like 3 levels of separation, or at least 2.
At least 2.
At least get 2 levels of separation out. Yeah. That's Greater Tacoma, because like I be buying for Christmas. I be buying my mom and my stepdad ETC shit. That's what they're getting. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's been our community. That's why I'm like, it's gonna be a slow process.
Yeah.
It's our community doing this, helping us, and that's why I always tell people. It takes a village, and that's why anytime you see me posting, I normally write all the captions. I'm pretty much P is all the visuals for the company. I'm all the words for the company, and my shit is always like, it's y'all.
Yeah.
Like I also don't take it away from Tacoma ever. I'm like, it's y'all. It could be grander than this, but it's gonna take that. Like like it's y'all that got us here. That's all. We wouldn't be here without our group. That continues to be like, you don't know what the ETC is?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? And like, website, IG, T-shirt, sticker. You got the little pack now. You're on your way.
Yeah.
I've seen you do it. I've seen my cousins do it. I've seen friends from high school do it. You know what I mean? Like, I do understand that there is that here, but I also understand that there is so much more. You know what I mean? My only gripe with it, if I was to have a gripe, is that I feel that we definitely do our best to speak to the whomever, by being in more than one space. Like we're on boards, we're on committees, we're in different areas as much as we can. But even when we're in those areas and the committees, people go, "Oh, what's your business?" It's like, I'm on the panel, my boy. That's tough. That is tough. But let me put on my face. I'm only from ETC.
Put some respect on his name.
Or just the scene, because it's not just me. It's the post office as well.
Yes.
If you're a young dude from here and you're saying you want to do music and you're saying you don't know a studio to go to, there's only 2 studios I even know in Tacoma. You either go to Pacific or you can go to the post office.
It's as simple as that. It really is. Well, okay. I think I'm starting to I'm glad to hear you're not disheartened.
No, not at all.
I'm glad to hear someone tell it to the people. Because you are right. It is as big as we make it. It is as big as we make it. Because the first half of the show, I was getting worried. I thought you were disheartened. And I'm like, hey, motherfuckers, if we lose ETC, like, I got a shit list. It's starting to click now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm in a space where I think our business is doing exactly what it needs to do. I think that there is some engagement and interaction that that you keep, like, it's as big as you make it. Because for some people, they're like, yeah, ETC's the shit. So there's no need to talk about us.
Yeah, it's a fact.
That's a wonky space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it means, like, we're kind of like, I don't know if anyone knows what a glass ceiling is, but that's the worst place to be in a business.
That's exactly what I was. It's just like a super vague recommendation on a product, right? Like, not saying what you liked about it, just that it was a good product.
Yep.
I liked it. Okay. Yeah. What about it did you like? Why? Like, what did it do for you?
You know, like, so I totally get the growth of that needs to happen here in Tacoma, the growth that needs to happen from us at ETC, you know, because we do need to be engaging in bigger ways. But it's also taken us a long time to be able to get the ear of some of these people, you know, like people have yelled at me for years about why I don't have a collab with the Rainiers. And it's like, yo, me and Paris worked for the Rainiers. We cleaned out, we were the night crew, the stadium cleaning crew. Like we cleaned out the stands for like 2 or 3 years before college. So what I'm saying is those people you have to understand that we're not keeping ourselves out of these rooms.
How come no one else is talking to the Rainiers about it?
You know what I mean?
No one is saying to them, why don't you have a collab with ETC?
It took someone around our age to be put into a new position of marketing. And of course he's like, I don't know what's going on. I heard weird things prior to about stuff. And again, it's like dudes don't do the research. Tacoma Rainiers apparently, you know, was beefing with us about...
ETC?
Yeah, ETC about... something that didn't have to do with us. Tacoma Apparel Co. put out that collection that was a straight bootleg.
Pretty similar.
It was a bootleg collection of Rainier shit done in Raiders colors because he's a dude who's like always liked Rainiers gear but never been able to get it how he wanted it. So he did it like that. The president of Tacoma Rainiers was like, that shit is tight because I'm from that era too, but like we don't even own the rights to that shit. It's like it's the major league. It's right. Like they own all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like a licensing thing for us as well, type situation. So, you know, but our big thing was like that didn't have anything to do with us. You didn't even go and do the research enough to know that we don't own that brand.
They didn't get that far.
Who knows? They didn't care to. But luckily for us, a great young man by the name of Casey is over on marketing for the Rainiers. And to give you a little bit of something, because I know you want a little something on Tac'd, we will be throwing the first pitch on the 23rd.
Shut up.
In the stadium. So it's
July 23rd?
Yeah.
We're there.
It's just taking some time, man.
Beautiful.
Just taking some time.
I'm really glad you said that because this is what I was going to tell you. It's actually... So if you didn't know, I was in Amway for a while, right?
I remember this.
So let me tell you this was something that was told to me, which kept my ass roped in there for about 4 years, right? So do you know how bamboo grows?
Mm-mm.
It actually starts off very slowly. So in the first 5 years, it only grows about like 10 inches tall. But what it's doing that whole time is developing this fucking crazy root ball underneath, right? Yeah. And so in the 5th and 6th year, it can grow up to 50 feet. From 10 inches to 50 feet. But it takes 5 years of root development, right? Yeah. So all that shit underground is building. And then out of nowhere, it fucking shoots off.
Man, that dude, whoever told you that, he's a millionaire in Amway.
Yeah, he is.
Because he is. Yes. Yeah. That's a special type of person.
This is a special type of person, but I think it still applies to ECC.
Oh, hell
I think we're right about at this. Like I said, we felt everything in Tacoma feels like it's on the cusp of greatness for the last 3, 4, 5 years. So,
and we see it.
Let's
people
make it happen.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
For sure. And people are moving here, so you see that there is value here, obviously, not only in the real estate, but just in the environment. So yeah, they're saying, oh, there is stuff to do in Tacoma now, or oh yeah, like Tacoma is so pretty. I never really spent any time here, and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, one thing that I do know is like that market is coming to us, right? That market is definitely there. It's going to be about who can capture it and keep it captivated. Honestly, like who can really keep the people with the deer in the headlights? Like, oh, this is a thing that I have to see, have to be a part of. You know, it's easier said than done. But I think that all of us are doing the right things. I think, again, everybody that I know that's in business, you know what I mean. Even some of the food trucks and stuff, and like even like the market. What Chuck is doing with that market is incredible, man. And
the Sunday market downtown.
No. I'm sorry. So the the vintage market with Desi and Rich are doing is incredible because they literally built community out of nothing. And in my neighborhood, like that's my neighborhood that I grew up in, and then and there was nothing there. So what they're doing is, I'm watching them move mountains. And then Chuck with the what is it called? Is it on Sundays? The vintage market? We're like, who do you know the right next to the Alley Cat? Why the fuck? Oh, the Sixth. It's called the Sixth Ave Flea Market. Yeah. Pardon me, my bad, Chuck. That's fucked up. But yeah, never heard, and what they're doing down there, and just how they're giving a base for vintage people to be able to compete with like a Scorpio Rising,
right?
Who's gonna kill because you don't got to chase them down.
They're right there on the edge.
You can walk into the space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I just know that we're all. You're right. It's all happening. Like who even runs Alley Cat now? You know what I'm saying? And like how that came about. And like I believe Rachel still owns Jazz Bones, and it's like she's a great person to have there, obviously, and just like. The Airport Tavern, you know, I normally wouldn't give a shit about South Tacoma Way, but especially the little historical block there, but I rock with Airport Tavern.
That's literally the only spot I know.
You know what I mean? So it's like for me, but also Church Cantina bringing out that crowd, which is like a crowd that I mess with heavy, but I feel like they also felt displaced in Tacoma. Like, yo, where do we go to have a good time where like it feels and looks like us? You know what I'm saying? I believe that we're finally trying to provide places and spaces for all of us, and then that's how you mesh the scene together. Eventually, like you said, like it has all these roots, and they're just happening, meshing together, and then you know who knows what year it'll be where we're like, holy cow!
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about timing.
Well, beautiful, dude. I think we'll end up wrapping it up here. This has been fucking incredible, honestly, dude. This was...
You killed it. Great questions, per usual.
No, I appreciate that,
Best
brother.
energy.
And I just want to... Do you have any closing thoughts or anything like that?
July 24th, you're going to want to be there. I'm going to be honest. We got a couple food collabs happening. One down the street, one that's going to be on site. The product for those will probably the most... rare product, so in my personal opinion, that's what you should be going for. All the other items are amazing, obviously, as well, but those products are going to be done in the most rare. We got a crazy collab happening with the Seattle company that is really going to hopefully be a bridge as we move forward. And then
excited for that.
And then I would say, and then July 25th, we're finally doing an after party. So it's Daz Productions, obviously, AT, you know, just all the things Daz. But Daz is putting together a rooftop party on Sunday. So, you know what I mean, if you want to come, because Saturday, honestly, guys, we're kind of getting to the point where we can't like get blackout by the end of the night anymore because we're like doing business all day. Yeah. It used to be we do business till about 3. And then it's just a shit show. But now we're to the point where yeah, man, we're doing business around. We're like it's 11 all the way to like 6, man. So then after that, we're like pooped. We both have wives. We're trying to get home to our significant others and stuff. And so Daz has really done his thing to provide a way for everybody to get involved. And I'm super stoked about that because it's rooftop party, so it's very Daz energy. It's at the Alma. This is the first time that, you know, we're comfortable doing something with those guys. They have really been coming to us, reaching out to us, talking to us in the best way possible. I think they're the only people that are really moving the way that we like them to move. And so that's been a large part to Belugs. So it's been, again, because of our community. But please come out to that, man. That's going to be a really good time. I want to give everyone hugs, man. I'm going to be masked up giving 1,000 hugs.
Beautiful.
So please, 24th, 25th, come hang, man. Eat. There's a music. Belugs is DJing on the 24th as well. Our favorite female DJ. Tab is going to be DJing the latter half of it. Come hang, man. Just come post up for real. Like, pull up and like, let me give you another tidbit. The well parking lot will be, you won't have to worry about parking in it on that Saturday. So I'm just saying, like, you can just pull up. Like, I want parking lot pimping all down Court A. Like, doors open, people hanging out of their whips, smoking, skating,
Beautiful. I just bought a new whip too.
Like that's what we're like, because that's really what we've always wanted is like on our anniversary, that block from 10th to 9th and we want that whole shit surrounded. Yeah, for real. We want you to feel like
some ideas.
Yeah, we want you to feel like, God damn, like what's going on?
Yeah.
What's happening here? It's a little festival. It's like, yep.
Those are some of my favorite reactions of people walking by while we got something going on at Club 907 at like 10 o'clock at night, dog. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, they're like, I never seen this before.
They all look like they want to go in there.
They do, yeah. I would say everybody, you know what I mean? Like, and we're open door policy, so also know that, man. Like, we're very much open door policy. You know what I mean? July 24th, man. Even if it's your first time.
Support your people, scream your praises, send it out there. Like, really, it is literally the least you could do. Literally, the least you could do is tell your friends about what you like, what excites you, what you got going on in your city, the people attached to it, everything, man. These are the people who, make it possible for our city to get put on the map, to be culturally important. So, Tacoma, we love you. Again, this has been Tac'd with Spencer P. with Umi Wagoner of ETC. And what a fucking pleasure, bro. That was fucking cool.
That was awesome.
Sick. All right, boys, let's cut it.